such as Andy, we ready? Brianna? Okay. Good evening. Welcome, everybody. We're going to call the Clovis City Council meeting to order for Monday, May 18th at 6:01 p.m. And at this time, we will have Councilmember Ashbeck lead us in the flag salute.
Please join me in saluting our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. If City Clerk Parra would call the roll.
Yes, Councilmember Ashbeck.
Here.
Councilmember Baskell. Councilmember Bessinger.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Pierce.
Here.
And Mayor Moanatua.
Here. Okay, next will be presentations and proclamations. We have two this evening. The first is a presentation of a proclamation declaring May 17th to the 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week, and Councilmember Bessinger will be reading that proclamation.
Thank you, Mayor. It's my pleasure to read a proclamation declaring May 17th to the 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week. Whereas Public Works focuses on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustaining a resilient community and to the public health, quality of life, and well-being of the people of the city of Clovis. And whereas these infrastructures, facilities, and services could not be provided without dedicated efforts of Public Works employees at all levels of government that are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water and wastewater treatment, solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for citizens, civic leaders, and children in the city of Clovis to gain knowledge of and to maintain an ongoing interest in the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas American Public Works Association has chosen Rooted in Service, Powered by the Community as the theme for this year's National Public Works Week to highlight the exceptional services Public Works provides in our communities. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 66th annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council of Clovis, on behalf of the citizens, does hereby declare May 17th to the 23rd, 2026 as National Public Works Week, and it is signed by our mayor, Vong Wanatua.
Welcome. Anyone else in your staff? I'd love to see all of them. They're here. Yeah.
See 'em all.
Yeah, let's see them all since they're all here.
Yes, please stand up and be recognized.
All right. Go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, Mayor and Council. On behalf of American Public Works Association, the Clovis Public Utilities Department, and the Clovis Public Works Employees Association, and the Planning and Development Services and General Services, we would like to thank you for declaring the week of May 17th through the 23rd as National Public Works Week. We're honored to stand here before you to recognize our public works staff. National Public Works Week was established in 1960, and this is the 66th annual National Public Works Week. And this week gives us an opportunity to celebrate our dedicated public works staff and help the public understand the value and cost of their work. And this year's theme is Rooted in Service and Powered by Community, which captures the deep connection between public works and the community we serve. Even as the tools and systems advance, the heart of public works is serving our community. And our public works employees maintain and protect the city's valuable infrastructure and provide essential services to our residents, including water and wastewater services, solid waste, streets, fleet, along with parks and public facilities, amongst other things. And we would like to just take this time to recognize our staff and to thank them. These are the folks that represent the hardworking City of Clovis employees that are maintaining our Clovis way of life so that Clovis remains a destination of choice. Now, in celebration of National Public Work Week, we would like to invite Council to join us for our Public Utilities Employee Appreciation Barbecue. It's going to be this Wednesday at noon at the Clovis Corporation Yard. And in addition, on Friday, the Public Utilities Department, along with the Central Valley chapter of the American Public Works Association, we're going to host some displays at the Farmers Market, where in partnership with Fresno County, as well as Fresno Flood Control District and our Planning and Development Services Department, we're going to have displays at the Farmers Market. It's a lot of equipment. It allows families to come and interact with our staff as well as our equipment and to learn more about public works. So we'd just like to thank you for recognizing public works and the role that it has in our community. So at this time, can I have the staff come up and we can take a photo with council?
Excellent, Nick. Great job, Scott, with the entire department.
Good jobs.
It should be called the week with the best barbecue in Clovis. You guys are late, problem. Do you drive through this? No, I'm just kidding. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right, nice to see you. Okay, again, come on, let this go. That's cheating. Have you gone through twice? Can't you control your team? What's going on here? Who's in charge of this team? Thank you so much.
Nick should have it. Nick has it, yeah. Thank you. Any comments from the staff, from the council at all?
I'll make one to all of you in public utilities that are here and that are not here. I think I've said this to you every year. It is your work and all the work of our team, but tonight we're honoring you to make Clovis the city we have today. Your kindness, you do your jobs great, but you change flat tires and you take garbage trucks to little kids who it's their birthday, and those kindnesses, we don't know them until someone tells us. So the face of Clovis is you all, but you don't do it to be seen or to be recognized. So just know that you do your jobs really well, but sort of the human and this year's theme about community is really important, and it's really apparent in everything you do. So just an extra thanks from all of us up here for that part of your work as well, because it really does make a big difference. And all of our team is great at that, but today it's your day. So just to shout out to you all for that, that humanity and kindness that you show our residents when you don't really have to do that, but you do. So just a thank you for all of us who live here. So thank you.
Mayor?
Go ahead, Drew.
I'd also like to join Lynn and compliment our Public Works staff. A lot of the things that you do, our citizens don't see. They don't see you working on our fleet. They don't see, sometimes they'll hear the street sweeper, but very often it's in the middle of the night and they don't see it. They don't see the people at the water treatment. They don't see people up at our dump working. They know what they get from you, but they just don't know where it comes from sometimes. But we know, and we appreciate it. Thank you.
And I'd just like to let the public know, this year's America 250 in Clovis is celebrating, and all the displays that we do, it's you guys. We may order it, but it's you guys who are coming out, setting up the flags, putting up the lights, and then even on all the Friday nights, you're the ones they're gonna call to clean things up, even after a parade. And so all those things are things that we forget and take for granted, but thank you for just being a part of community. Your thing about powered by the community, really, you empower the community for all that you do. So thank you very much again. Okay, we will now move to item 2. This is a presentation of a proclamation honoring the Hot Rods Fresno for their generous support of Central Valley Honor Flight. And to read this proclamation is Councilmember Lynn Ashbeck.
Thanks, Mayor. As the daughter of a veteran, I'm really honored to read this, and to my friends in the Hot Rod Fresno, extra pleasure. So, honoring Hot Rods Fresno for their generous support of Central Valley Honor Flight. Whereas the city of Clovis proudly recognizes the importance of honoring and supporting the brave men and women who have served in the United States Armed Forces. And whereas Hot Rods Fresno has demonstrated an enduring commitment to community service and to honoring local veterans through its charitable efforts. And whereas on October 4th, 2026, Hot Rods Fresno, soon to be called Hot Rods Clovis. No, it doesn't really say that. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding about that. It's not a bad idea though, I'm just saying. Hosted the Water Tower Car Show in Old Town Clovis, bringing together residents, car enthusiasts, and local businesses in a celebration of community spirit and generosity. And whereas through this event, Hot Rods Fresno raised an extraordinary $30,000 with all of the funds donated to Central Valley Honor Flight to support its mission of providing veterans with the opportunity to visit the memorials dedicated to their service. And whereas this remarkable contribution reflects the values of patriotism, generosity, and civic pride that strengthen and define the Clovis community. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Clovis does hereby recognize and congratulate Hot Rods Fresno for their outstanding generosity and dedication to honoring our nation's veterans. And this is signed today by our Mayor, Wanatua. Thank you.
So I was asked to speak on behalf of Hot Rods Fresno and Central Valley Honor Flight. I'm Paul Leffler. I have the privilege of leading our all-volunteer team for Honor Flight. We have a bunch of our volunteers here today. If you're an Honor Flight volunteer, will you raise your hand? All right. Just a sampling of them. And when people ask me about Honor Flight, I say the best way I can explain it is it's the best reflection I know of the heart of our community. What brings us together more than a chance to honor our veterans? And I have to commend the city of Clovis for setting that tone for so long. Mr. Mayor, you mentioned America 250. And of course, as you know, 80 years ago this year, the people of Clovis created a special district, the Clovis Veterans Memorial District. And when we launched 13 years ago, CVMD was instrumental in us getting off the ground. If they hadn't said, any veteran living within our district who was in World War II will cover their cost to go, that gave us a big boost. That and this guy, Al Perry, over here, that Councilmember Ashbeck knows very well, who led our first 13 flights and got us going. But along the way, some of us may think we're going to run out of gas, and along comes somebody with new energy who says, we love this cause and we want to support it. And Hot Rods Fresno was one of those groups. They never run out of gas. Well, maybe a few of them have. It's very expensive now. I'm wondering, of all the Hot Rods Fresno folks we have in here, how many of you served in the armed forces? Can we give them a hand? So I can't tell you how much of a huge difference this makes for our effort. Last year they raised $20,000, so that's what we are expecting this year. And they went above and beyond and raised 50% more than that, so $30,000 is going to give us a huge boost toward getting through our waiting list of over 400 veterans. And if any of you have never been to a Central Valley Honor Flight Welcome Home before, September 2nd will be your next opportunity. It'll reinforce what you know and love about our community. So thank you, Clovis City Council, and big thank you to Hot Rods Fresno. And we're going to have to fit a whole lot more people up there for this next picture. So let's get all of Hot Rods Fresno and our Honor Flight volunteers. Thank you all. God bless you.
Great job. I was just kidding about the Clovis changing your name. I was just kidding. Appreciate it. Thank you for what you do. Thank you. I love that. Well done. Hyphen? I couldn't resist it. Paul has to say it first. Okay. Paul, can I give you this? Or maybe someone in the front row would like to hold that?
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
How are you? Nice to see you. Good to see you. Exactly the same. We're both lying. Great to see you.
Thank you,
all.
sir.
Take care.
Yep, thank you. Yeah.
So it's changing the name, got
Thanks for being here.
couldn't resist. Yeah, done a great job.
Thank you. Well, we always enjoy those type of presentations. We're going to go ahead and move on to the next part of the agenda is public comments. This next portion is an opportunity for members of the public to address the council on items within our jurisdiction, but not on the agenda. You have 3 minutes if you can go to the podium, and please state your name and give your address for the record.
All right.
Yes.
Forgive me, didn't know how this works, so I thought I'd test it out tonight. So I did write some things down just in case, so I'd stay focused. But good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Jeanette Georgner, and I'm a resident in the neighborhood adjacent to Clovis High School, near Jenna Prandini and MacArthur. I actually came here to request city review and assistance regarding reoccurring traffic congestion, parking, roadway access concerns that are actually impacting our residential area, especially like off-peak hours, after hours, tournaments, graduations. So while parking congestion has existed in many areas for many years around the school, residents have observed significant increase in those overflow conditions. They're now occurring regularly, 3 to 4 times a week, during school activities, tournaments, and evening functions. And what the residents in the area have repeatedly experienced is overflow parking throughout all of our residential streets, vehicles encroaching into our driveway aprons and reducing egress and egress to maneuver for us to park. Parking near intersections and corner transition, reducing visibility, so they actually park with their cars blocking that. Parking in front of fire hydrants. And so the main thing is that residents have attempted to work with Clovis High Administration, Clovis Police Department, their neighborhood services. I've even contacted the fire marshals and city engineering planning for this. Have not received a response. What scared me was on Thursday when I filed a complaint, the officer that came in from Clovis neighborhood said they do not have jurisdiction on anyone parked on the red adjacent to the tennis courts, that belonged to the Clovis Unified School District. I spoke to the resource officer today. He said that is incorrect. We do not have any jurisdiction outside the boundaries of the school. We are not able to enforce any citations. So the frustrating thing is, as residents, we keep being told to call, and Clovis PD doesn't issue citations. So I guess we come to you where we can actually do this respectfully and really have the city really look into it, because we've had numerous shelter in places, we've had numerous hit and runs, and no one's doing anything about it, and that, or at least that's what the residents feel. So if we can have a formal traffic parking review, the clearance, emergency access, because there's not 15, my hydrant only has 6 feet of red on it. It's not enforced. And to see if we can get some permanent parking. I'm not saying to go into a whole parking district. I know what that can do to a community. I want my daughter goes to that school, so I want those things to happen. But when it's coming to where you're putting all of us, I just had a house fire in 2024. If it wasn't for our fire department, my house would not be standing. But there's no way that they could have had a turning radius to get into my residence if they're parked in the reds. I do have some pictures I can share that I can leave, but really just wanted to see if we can actually get that, because both officers had said the only way you can make this neighborhood asked me to come here. The one from Clovis Unified asked me to go speak on Wednesdays there, because right now their hands are tied. Okay. They're told that apparently the resource officer is unable to issue any citations.
Thank you, Jeanette. Andy, who should be in contact with Jeanette so that we can?
She can work with our Assistant City Manager, Paul Armendariz, and we can bring the departments together on this issue with Clovis Unified and talk it through.
Paul will meet you in the back and get your number, so that way we can kind of follow up on that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in, Jeanette. Anyone else?
Good evening, members of the council and mayor. It's nice to see you all tonight. I come to you tonight as a resident of the city of Clovis and an employee of Fresno County Economic Development Corporation to invite you all and anyone else here to attend our Bear Breakfast, which takes place in a few weeks at the Clovis Veterans Memorial District. BEAR is an acronym. I come from a profession that has a lot of acronyms, but it's actually kind of a cool one. It means Business Expansion, Attraction, and Retention. The Bear Breakfast is an event that Fresno County EDC has put on over the years to talk about business and economic development and workforce development. We have plans to have an employer and other individuals that work in our various programs present. The Bear Breakfast will take place on Tuesday, June 9th at 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. at Clovis Veterans Memorial District. We hope to have about 150 people there. It should be a great business and economic development networking event. And I was asked to come just to help spread the word and invite you all there. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Give your name, Chris, just for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, my name is Chris Seitz, Fresno County Economic Development Corporation, resident of Clovis. My apologies.
Chris, what are the hours of the breakfast again?
It is 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. I did bring flyers if you want me to
if you can
provide
leave it with
those.
Brianna.
Thank you.
She'll get it to us. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Chris. Thanks for the invitation.
Thank you very
to come
much.
by. Mhm.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public comments portion. We'll move now to the consent calendar. We have items 2 through 12, and consent items are routine in nature and will taken up as one motion. Anyone on the council like to pull any of the items? Anyone in the public like to pull or hear any of the items 3 to 12? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the council?
I'll move for approval of the consent items.
Do we have a motion?
Second.
Do we have a second? We have a motion second on the floor. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, and we have one item, administrative item, and this is the review and introduction of the 2026-27 City of Clovis Annual Budget, 5-year capital improvement program, Measure Y, and information regarding the Clovis successor agency. And I'm assuming, Andy, you're going to start on this
I'll
one?
be kicking us off tonight,
Okay.
Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. It's my pleasure to present to you the proposed 2026-2027 budget. All departments will be presenting this evening if time allows. We can adjust if needed to the next meeting. But first, I just want to state where are we at in the process of developing the budget. All departments provided updates starting back in December of 2025. We provided a Measure Y Oversight Committee report in January to council, did the 5-year forecast, and we had a council budget input session in March. So we are back with the budget this for May 18th tonight, and we look for adoption on June 1st or in June. So one thing that I really wanted to drive home this evening is what we were working on as a team in developing this budget. So the city's vision is home. Clovis is more than a city. It's a place to call home where shared values, diverse perspectives, and a commitment to one another come together to create a thriving and cherished community. We aspire to be a beacon of unity, safety, civility, prosperity, innovation, and sustainable living, ensuring that Clovis is always more than a place to live, but rather a place to belong. And our mission is to set the standard for excellence in defining, delivering, and protecting local governance. A little bit of a twist tonight. Our executive team this last year took this and really thought through what we were going to be working on, and that is to build a community that our residents are proud to call home. So just kind of that is what we have been working on, and this budget really represents meeting that vision, mission, and our focus. So a few highlights from this year's budget. It maintains and enhances public safety. We have 141 sworn officers proposed. An alternate dispatch center is going to be under construction, and we accelerated fire staffing, allowing for the squad to go into place with the grant. Otherwise, it would have been part of this budget likely. It continues to implement Measure Y. We have 21.5 new positions related to that, and 90% of Measure Y is focused on public safety. And it continues capital investments in the community. It includes funding to improve the recreation center, about $250,000 this year, with plans for more in the future, and significant street improvements. It invests in planning for the future, our future, through the general plan update. We're going to be doing a facilities master plan to really think about this campus and other city facilities for the long run. What do we want this to look like in 10, 20 years? And we're investing in a staff increase for our economic development team. That is the first increase in economic development staff in at least 20 years. It also provides fiscal and services stability. We hit a 20% on our reserve, which was a council item that came back during an input session. Measure Y and general fund positions are paced to allow for monitoring of economic conditions. We're fully aware of all the unknowns that are out there, and we've built this budget to allow us to be flexible and maneuver through whatever comes our way, whether it's higher gas prices or revenue changing. We're able to maintain a significant fund balance in Measure Y, and many communities are facing budget shortfalls. We are unique, and we are very grateful to the community for their investment in the city, as well as our team for getting us there. In a word, we are stable. Real quick on Measure Y, just so the room knows what that is. It was a 1-cent tax that was approved by the Clovis voters about coming up on 2 years ago in 2024. There's, I'm not going to read them, but 9 things that we're focused on during that. And those are the items that we have focused Measure Y on. So what has Measure Y meant for us? It's allowed critical services to grow and stabilize in our community. It's allowed us to be strategic and to plan. It's also allowed us to be a place of stability during volatile economic times. And like I said, we are in a unique spot relative to many communities. We are grateful. So Measure Y in itself, 90% of the proposed budget is focused on public safety, with other investments going to other goals as well, but 90% are on public safety. And it has allowed for 21.5 new positions. Like I said, we're taking a paced approach, funding those positions on average partway through the year, and we'll see how revenues develop and what our expenditures look like. If we need to make adjustments, we can. But it maintains public safety as a top priority. One slide I wanted to show, the dark blue line is our ratio of employees per 1,000, and our population is the lighter blue line. Back in 2007, so 20 years ago, we had 5.83 employees per 1,000, and this budget proposes 5.73 per 1,000. So just kind of giving you a perspective of where we're at. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Jay to go over some high-level numbers. What you'll see tonight is that we're starting pretty high, and the departments, Jay will get a little bit more detailed, and the departments will get more detailed. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jay.
All right. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. So this year is a historic budget that maximizes Measure Y to protect public safety, address deferred maintenance, and secure the Clovis way of life. The total proposed budget is $429.7 million. That's $382 million operating and $48 in capital. The budget is balanced and sustainable. It's fully funded through current revenues and anticipated rate increases, and we've set the emergency reserves at 20%, which was our target. So what we have here is Measure Y is more than a fund for the future. It's essential lifeline maintaining our present. So if we go to the left and start with Measure Y and we travel down the line on the bottom, which would represent without Measure Y, we'd be in a position to have significant cuts to the general fund departments. Our deferred maintenance would only be getting worse, and we'd be depleting our emergency reserves to stay alive. With Measure Y, which is $31.3 million in projected revenues, we're maintaining essential service levels. We're actively fleet replacements, catch up, and 20% emergency reserves. So fulfilling Measure Y goals. So 3 of the voter mandates was maintaining public safety, repairing streets and parks, and addressing homelessness and community needs. This year's budget has $12.4 million allocated to sustaining rapid emergency response times and current staffing. We have $1.7 million allocated for targeted neighborhood cleanliness, street repairs, and park maintenance. And we have funding direct interventions, providing safe shelter, and supporting senior and youth program services. So the city...
Jay, I'm sorry, what does that last line mean, targeting 275 community programs? What's that mean?
In the budget between all of the recreation and the senior programs that they have available to the public, in total, there's approximately 275 different
Oh, I see that.
art classes.
I see it. I wasn't sure what you were adding up there.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the city is built on 3 pillars. The first one is maintaining the safest city in the valley. So for personnel, we have 6 new sworn police officers, like Andy mentioned, increasing the total to 141. We have 6 new firefighters currently sustained via grant funding, and we have added critical dispatch and administrative support staff. In the equipment area, we have 29 new replacement police vehicles, plus a crisis negotiation unit and 2 motorcycles. And we have 3 new fire vehicles, 1 light duty and 2 Type 6 units. For facilities, started the construction of the alternate dispatch center. We have critical, small, but important upgrades to the jail control systems, and we're preparing for land acquisition for future Fire Station 7. So in this year's budget, we have placed a strategic $4 million one-time transfer utilizing prior year savings to responsibly catch up 2 decades of deferred maintenance. And where we are on the left is right now we have a $9 million deficit in our public safety vehicles. This was started during the Great Recession and basically took funding down to nothing until now we were forced to do pay-as-you-go lease financing. So what we've done is allocated between the police department and the fire department a total of $4 million this year to catch up that ultimately to the $9 million goal. But really we're trying to halt that expensive pay-as-you-go lease model and retiring aging emergency vehicles. So the second pillar is core community infrastructure. So we are deploying almost $48 million in capital investments to sustain community development. This is ongoing citywide ADA improvements, reconstructing and designing public street improvements for safe travel, advancing aquifer recharge capabilities within the Kings Basin, modeling and engineering utility infrastructure for long-term sustainability. We have an unprecedented $6 million investment in affordable housing programs, and we're expanding recreation opportunities and maximizing the world-class senior center. So the final pillar 3 is safeguarding the future, which is our emergency reserves. So this year we are proposing funding a $7.1 million increase from the previous year. This is a 33.8%, but this gets us to the target goal of 20%. This meets our prudent recommended by auditors, to protect essential operations against economic downturns. Utilization strictly requires 4/5 vote of the City Council. And then the breakdown of this $28.1 million would be $21 million in the general fund and $7.1 million housed in Measure Y. So with those 3 pillars, the customer service side, fully funded operations of $382 million, robust community investments of $48 million, and auditor emergency reserves of $28 million. The 26-27 budget aligns these 3, ensuring Clovis remains the healthiest, safest, and best managed community in the valley. And with that, I would pause before I go on to the department.
Any questions for Jay or Andy at this time? Okay, go ahead, Jay. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. So for the finance department, last year we ended with $3.8 million in expenditures. This year we are estimated to end up with $4.4 million, and next year proposed is $4.9 million. The difference between this year and next year is almost exclusively negotiated salaries and benefits. Some of the strategic objectives for the finance department is accountability and public trust. We're helping city teams stay on track and on budget. Our oversight of Measure Y, we're providing clear, honest financial updates to the community. Tech and customer service, we're rolling out faster, more accurate systems to track city money. We're upgrading utility features for smoother resident experience, and we're adding more ways to pay online and helping residents use them. And then future planning, we're still looking at any refinancing city loans whenever possible to save money, and we're documenting key steps so operations run smoothly no matter what. For Measure Y metrics, we are in Goal 9 spending disclosure spent locally. We have been submitting the reports to the Measure Y Oversight Committee. We've ensured Measure Y funds are spent directly on approved projects. We've monitored the variances between budgeted and actual Measure Y expenditures, and we're maintaining Measure Y financial reporting in the budget book and ACFR. And with that, any questions?
Any questions for the finance? Okay, thank you, Jay.
Back to me. A lot of me tonight.
So, Andy, because it's long, do you want public, or do you just want public all at the end? What's the council? Because it's going to be a lot of departments, and so what's the pleasure? Because it'll just be too much, and so we can speak on each department and just open it up and close it.
That is fine. It's whatever your pleasure is, Council
Yeah.
Mayor.
What is the? What's the council think?
Mayor, I think people will forget.
Yeah. So, okay, so what we're gonna, before we move to the next department, if you have any questions or comments regarding the finance department's budget, we're gonna open the public portion for that. Okay, seeing none? Okay, we'll close that. Okay, go ahead, next.
Mayor, can I say something real
Yes,
quick?
go ahead.
I worked for the city for 22 years. I've been on the council since 2017. This is going to sound a little cruel, but we were told all the time that we had an award-winning budget, and every time we sat through the budget hearings, it was like watching paint dry. That was a great presentation, Jay. It was clear, it was well presented, and I think that anybody listening to it understood it and felt confident afterwards.
Thank you, Drew. Okay, Andy, you're up.
All right, I'll try to match Jay. So for administration, that includes the city council budget, the city attorney budget, city manager operations budget, as well as the city clerk. We are seeing a downdraft in expenditures compared to 24-25, but an uptick from last year. Most of that investment is going into this chamber. We're going to be working on the audio system and other technology improvements as we are working to comply with SB 707, which requires some interaction online. So there's some major investments that need to happen with some of the aging technology in this building. Some of the things that we'll be working on in those buckets will be continued/bolstered legislative engagement. This allows for us to engage in Sacramento or at the federal level. Enhancing code enforcement, supporting with added staff, upcoming new positions, and making sure the systems are in place to accommodate that. Also, further focus on management strategy sessions, training leadership, and succession development, and really appreciating our employees, such as the banquet. We've looked at doing a few other things to improve that. Community needs, we have the capacity to respond to unexpected needs in the community. We had a couple come up this last year, such as the food issues. We've set aside some funds for that. And then, like I mentioned, the council chamber audio-visual upgrades. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our technology team. And then we can wrap up with questions on both sections after that. Mayor.
Okay, all right.
Thanks, Andy, and good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This evening, Patrick Linares is actually going to be presenting for the IT division tonight.
Hi, Patrick.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. So tonight, the information technology budget here, as we can see, year after year, and this coming budget year, we have increased budget. The cost can be attributed to mainly hardware, licensing, subscription costs, and projects as they come about to the IT division. Some of the upcoming projects, the major ones, are subscription upgrades to our Microsoft subscription. That's going to give us better insight and security enhancements that we need to help make the city safe and comply with some requirements that we have. The CRM and the code enforcement system has been around a really long time, and we're looking at a different system to make that experience better for our citizens and for staff alike. Andy kind of mentioned it, but we have some AV improvements throughout the city, both council chambers here and the public utilities Leonardo room. That room has been used quite a bit, not only by public utilities, but other departments and outside agencies, so that's really due for an upgrade. And then we have some phone system improvements that will help both our staff and make a better experience for our citizens. Some of the Measure Y funds. So current projects right now, we have the emergency operations AV system that was completed recently. If you haven't seen it, I invite you to go see it. It's really impressive, really nice video wall there. We've also completed subscriptions and licensing and additional hardware for new employees that came on this last fiscal year. Projects that are in progress right now are the mobile command vehicle upgrade. Basically, redoing that for now so that the communications can be better in that when it's called out. And then the radio tower uninterruptible power system is currently being upgraded as well. Upcoming for this next fiscal year, we have our identity management system. Those improvements are going to help with our security of our identity for all of the city employees. And then there's numerous PD projects there for outdated, aging systems that are in desperate need of some upgrades. For this next fiscal year, we have 2 positions and then our internship program that we're coming back with. The first is our IT manager being funded 50% from our general fund and then 50% from Measure Y. And that position will be responsible for helping coordinate ADA, web content, and other enterprise systems for the city, and really helping us stay on pace and get those projects completed. The IT specialist for finance and the financial system, that person will be there to help support the entire system and be a backup for that analyst as well. And with that, we're open for any questions.
Any questions of council? Okay. Yes, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Maybe in 26 I'll get a laptop. Or no, let me rephrase that. Get a laptop and use the laptop.
There you go.
There you go.
We can
That's more
provide that
accurate.
for you, no
I
problem.
might be the poster child for never doing that. It's all good. Andy, back to the city manager. I think your first bullet point was about advocacy. Is there, I couldn't see, is there funds to hire an advocacy firm in Sacramento? Is there?
We have some funds to do so. Probably bring back an item for council input on that. We also have funds that we could use for staffing to do some of that work as well. So we have some decisions to make on that, I think, as a team, on our legislative platform and the implementation of it. So it's one of the projects I'd like to work on this next year.
But you have money in here. Should we pursue it in some way that requires resources?
Yeah, it's not unlimited, but yeah, we have some resources.
That's probably good that it's not unlimited. Thanks.
Any other questions of staff? Okay. Go ahead. At this time, we're going to go open up the public portion. If you have any questions on sort of this Andy's department here.
Good evening. Eric Rollins. I live on Ashcroft Avenue. I did have a question. In the presentation, you mentioned that 50% was coming from normal budget means and 50% from Measure Y. It would be useful to kind of have an idea of what those numbers were for the IT manager's salary, I believe it was. Aside from that, it was a good presentation. Connecting actual numbers rather than something like 50% would be useful.
Okay. All right.
So
Do you have an idea?
looking at the staff sorry.
Okay, so I'm sorry. Do you have an idea, sort of?
I believe it's about $75,000 to Measure Y and $75,000 to the other departments. But correct me if I'm wrong, staff, on that particular position with all the weighted costs.
I believe that's correct, Andy. I'm going to look it up right now in the budget book.
All right. Any other questions from the public regarding this department? Okay, seeing them, we'll go ahead and close it, and then Jesse, whenever you find it, we can report it out, and we can move on to the next department. Okay.
Okay, and with that, we'll have our police chief come up for the police department.
Good evening, Mayor Moanatua and City Council. Thanks for allowing us to come tonight and talk about the best police department in the state of California.
Yep.
Bar
Thank you,
none.
Chief.
I also have Deputy Chief Gomez up here with me in case you guys throw me any curveballs. He can jump in and help me out.
That's what we're hoping you do.
Matt's got a question, I'm sure. So as you can see, we have As you can see, we have a status quo budget. Just kidding. We over the last 2 years, it's significant growth, largely due to Measure Y and the commitment of the City Council and the community to invest in public safety. And just looking at these numbers alone, you can see the significant growth that we've experienced within the police within the police department. So this year, for positions within this budget, if approved, it shows we'll get 6 sworn police officers. I'm not going to go through that whole list, but 6 sworn police officers, and then there's 6 professional staff positions. They're all in line with kind of what I've presented over the last couple of years in our 5-year plan. Along in there, we're converting a lead chaplain position, was currently on a contract, so that'll be to a full-time position. And I think many of you have seen the great work that Aaron Breeze has done over the last several years. And then we're going to go in-house with, instead of doing a contract for our custodians, we're going to actually hire out and have 2 custodians and then 1 part-time to maintain the public safety building. Some position conversions. This last fiscal, we did 3 lead community service officers for the first time in our department's history. I asked for 1 short, so we asked to do an overfill for 1, so this will make that for 4 total. George Rodriguez's position, we had brought that to council probably, I think about 4 months ago, and changed the title to Deputy Director of Police Support Services, so that'll be funded within this budget. And then tied to that, George used to be over Animal Services. We're going to elevate one of our supervisors into a manager position that will oversee all of Animal Services. And then we overfilled by a police sergeant position. This will make that whole. And then I asked for 1 additional police lieutenant as we're growing as a department to have some additional command staff personnel. And then the items to the right there, just the larger items. We asked for probably, I think, 15 items, line items to be increased. These are some of the larger ones, mainly tied to just growth within the department, recruitment, uniform accounts, safety equipment. The drone first responders just tied to that 5-year contract, so each year that there's kind of a different amount, so we increased that to match what the contract said. And this will bring us,
Chief,
yes, sir.
I just had a question. When you close an officer position to a sergeant, does that leave sort of that officer with less, or is it still we can operate, we just need someone elevated into a management role? Can you help me understand that?
So yeah, just as we grow our line staff, just having the correct supervisors to oversee our line staff. So as our officer position grows, we just add more supervisors too, so that we keep that ratio. We don't want to get where we have 15 or 20 officers and 1 supervisor.
Okay.
So just keeping that ratio correct.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
The next one, you've already heard a couple of these items through some of the other presentations, but we've been trying to, over the last 5 years, update a lot of our larger, more specialized vehicles. We had a Bearcat a few years back that was approved, and we have received. Last year, we did an EOD vehicle, which we received after about 12 months. And this next one will be a crisis negotiation vehicle. It's a much smaller cost item, but it's just something that I think the last time, I think right when I got hired here, probably in 2006, we had gotten that crisis negotiation vehicle that we currently have. So it just is time to upgrade it or get a new vehicle. So that's approved if this budget is approved, along with in the CIP. Our alt dispatch has been through design, engineering, and is ready to go out to bid for construction. And that is approved and should go out for bid and then start construction in fall of this year. And then facility requests, we put in a few items, one being a roof leak. It's been an ongoing battle with the police department and the fire department. Roof just seems to leak constantly. So I think we're found the last section of roof that needs to be repaired. Our jail computer system, which is original from when the building was built, that controls the doors opening and closing, the lighting going in and on, able to flush the toilets remotely, all the controlling the water, all that system is managed through one computer system. So we need to upgrade that. And then our elevator has just been, since the building's been built, has just had problem after problem after problem. So our facility team went through and kind of figured out what it needed. So we're pretty much going to almost not get a completely new elevator, but we're really going to retrofit and upgrade all the system to make it work correctly. And then our EOD teams, their robot, I think it's about 7 years old, so we're not getting rid of the robot because that's probably a $400,000 item. This is a much smaller upgrade. I think it's around $70,000, $80,000 to kind of get the parts, refresh it, and get it back to what it needs to be. And then our investigations division remodel. So basically all of our cubicles will be taken out and replaced so we can have more space. They're going to get smaller, more space to take on the new additional detectives that we add into that area. And this is just another snapshot. I've shown this the last couple of years, but this is the current fiscal, just showing where those 12 positions, the top's the professional staff, and then the bottom's the sworn positions, kind of where they'll be allocated throughout this fiscal year. And then on the right-hand side, these are the main concerns that came up during Measure Y from our community during those surveys. So traffic safety, as you'll see, just in the last 2 years, we've grown our traffic division from 4 sworn officers to 7 with this budget being approved. And then our code enforcement, we went from 1 person that used to be funded through CDBG, which we no longer do. So we're going from 1 person. We currently have 3 and starting July 1. And then this fiscal will allow us sometime in January when we hire these positions, train them to have 5 total code enforcement people dedicated to going out and keeping our city beautiful. And then homelessness, in February we added 2 officers, our HALO team, our homeless assistance liaison officer. So we just refer to it as our HALO team. So they've been out there since February. And I'm hoping to have in our department update the next time we do that some good stats to bring to you guys. And then public safety staffing, just in the last 2.5 years, we've grown 16 in our sworn staff and 13 in our professional staff, so 29 positions just in the last 2 years. So I think we really committed to what Measure Y is asking for. And then our youth programs, we added a community service officer into that division for drug education. And then we're working on this fiscal year, we're supposed to add a full-time police officer just with hiring and training our people up, making through the program. We haven't quite got there yet. So when we get to a certain number, we'll have a full-time officer in that position. And then for Measure Y, metrics. So at the top is just, I wanted to show you kind of some things that as command staff, every quarter we get together and kind of strategize what's most important for the next 6 months to a year. So currently our main objective for our command staff is strategic growth, using the funds of Measure Y to grow smartly. And then some of our anchors there is culture. And that's probably been the last 20 years, every chief that's come in here is we want to maintain our culture, not change that, especially as we grow so fast right now. So actually starting this week at our dispatch meeting Thursday, we're going to take every member of the entire police department over the next 2 months and have them help us define what our culture is. We have a document from back in 2008 that happened under Chief Davis. We kind of just want to reflect and see, is our culture what it was, back in 2008? Have we changed? Is there some things we need to get back to? And so we're working on that as a department. Pushing that out. Employee connection, just staying connected with our employees, with one another. Is there more programs that we can do to keep our employees happy? Avoiding burnout, not working too much overtime, not putting too much on everybody's plate. And then focused development and how do we train and better equip our people. We kind of created some career development plans, almost like a guidance counselor with our training sergeant position. What do they want to do throughout their career? Finding training opportunities for them, and kind of helping them to be the best officers that they can. And then lastly, at the Measure Y metrics, goal 1 for us is maintaining public safety, emergency response times. We're doing amazing in our response to our 1 and 2 priority calls. Priority 3 is our goal is 15 minutes. We're probably right around 20 minutes right now. So we're working on getting a little bit quicker on those. Proactive policing, so year to date on those, we're up 4,000 proactive enforcement contacts, traffic stops, ped checks, personal check, just talking to people on the street. That's up by 4,000. Those are officer initiated type of contacts. And then calls that we receive from the public actually have gone down year to date about 2,000. And I think that's directly related to our proactive enforcement. So we're right on pace with what we're hoping that would happen from this influx of personnel. And then goal 6, like I said, I'm hoping next time I come before you with the homeless liaison, we'll be able to give you some good data on that. They're really collecting the data as they're going out there and making contact. So hopefully we'll show you the great progress we're making there. And then lastly, it's going to close it up for us and I'm available for any questions.
Go ahead, Drew.
Chief, just a quick question. With the reduction in forced overtime, are our personnel seeking college degrees? Do we have a pretty good percentage of people seeking their bachelor's and master's?
Yeah, absolutely. A few years back for the sworn side through the CPOA, they reduced it. You were able to get a bachelor's or a master's, one degree, and they reduced that in lieu of some other benefit. And so now it's only a bachelor's. And most people we hire end up coming in with a bachelor's. So those that don't do seek it. So I would say, I don't have the numbers on it, but well over 50% of our employees have their bachelor's, if not their master's degree.
And Post is coming up with criteria where I believe sergeants have to have a minimum AA. Is that correct?
Any sworn personnel, just to be hired, there's going to be a requirement. It's been punted since, I can't even give you the Assembly bill or Senate bill or whatever it was back several years ago, but there's a requirement. It was going to be an AA, then it got reduced to 4 classes. Now it might be a learning domain within the police academy. They haven't quite landed on what that's going to be, but there is some requirement for some education component before you can even become a police officer.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions?
Chief, would the Miss Winkle's expenses be here or in somebody else's budget?
That's in our budget.
So I was wondering about 2 things. Are we ever going to build out Miss Winkle's and finish out that shell space? I mean, I know it's kind of finished, but it's not really finished. And then is there any future for the Letterman Park building?
Yes and yes.
Nice.
So both of those were requested in this budget. They were not approved. However, with I think when the Measure Y updates come through and we kind of see where we're at, the hope is that we might come back with a budget amendment to add in the design phase for finishing out that space you're speaking about at the adoption center. And then we're hoping to get some money allocated to design and engineer a facility to be ready to be built, kind of shelf ready for the 908 facility, and then really come back to council at that point. And it's going to be a significant cost and really does decide at what point do we want to do that.
Thanks.
Yeah, Mayor, if I may, what we'd like to do with facilities is fund some deferred maintenance and also bring on a team, outside firm to help us with a master plan relative to all these facilities, come up with a priority list, a financing plan, bring that back to council, and then go.
Is there money somewhere in the budget to hire that team to do that
Yes,
assessment?
we have $300,000 set aside in the CIP program to do that assessment.
Thanks.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Go ahead and open the public portion. Anyone here like to address police?
Yeah, my name is Steve Trevino. I live on Border. A couple short questions and a short comment. We're always talking about the city of Clovis becoming larger and larger and larger. Is there any plans for helicopter in the future?
Okay. Go ahead and ask all your questions, and I'll have Chief address
And then
them all. Yeah.
I forgot what the other question was already. My mind, don't get old, okay? And,
Too late.
and second comment was, I walk along 5th Street sometimes. I see these homeless men sleeping in front of the library. And I always wonder 2 things. First, can they ever get a meal anywhere? And second, are they violent? And I think it's a problem with some of these men that we see on 5th Street and downtown Clovis. And I think that we need to do something, maybe get them closer to the airport area, because it seems like that's more of a, there's more help over there because of the Fresno County Welfare Department. And because that's one thing it's always in the back of my mind, And, but I had another question. I went blank.
Yeah, when you remember, just let us
Yeah,
know.
anyway, thank you.
Okay. Chief, did you want to address those?
I'll start with the second one. I would tell you, Mr. Trevino, if you see any homeless individuals or somebody sleeping or camping within the city, please call us right away so we can address that. There's plenty of resources out there within the county that's money set aside to be able to provide resources to them. But yeah, if there's so many more eyes out there with our citizens to be able to see, to call in and locate these individuals so we can provide the help to them. So I would encourage you to call. And then the first question on the helicopter, I don't ever see any time that we would need a helicopter within the city of Clovis. We have, with the California Highway Patrol, the Sheriff's Department, and Fresno PD, 3 helicopters within our close proximity. And they're always available to help us in a critical incident, pursuits, things of that nature. But really our drone first responder program that we've just implemented in the last year really fills the need for, I'd say, 95% of the things that we'd ever need a visual eye in the sky. Short of a vehicle pursuit's probably the only time that is a situation where we wouldn't be able to use our drones to give us, our officers, what they need in the sky. So,
Thank you, Chief.
Eric Rollins, I live on Ashcroft Avenue. I know that Measure Y, all of this is huge improvements to what's happening in the department. But do you feel that there is enough in this budget to have enough officers available to do the jobs they need, to not have the overtime? I know it's an improvement. I guess what I'm really asking is, does this get us to the ideal, or are we still several steps away?
Thank you, Eric.
We're on the right track for sure. Really the biggest problem that we're seeing, it's not the allocated positions that the budget has provided for us for both sworn and professional. It's really our ability to hire the right people and quality people, get them into the city, get them trained, is probably the biggest issue that we've seen. So it's us having the ability to fill the positions with the right people. And so the budget and what's been provided to us is more than sufficient. Once we get all those filled, I could probably answer that question better, but this will put us at 141 officers. It's very close to 1.1 per capita. At our worst, we were almost 0.79. We were really, really low. So this is in a much better position. We're starting to really backfill a lot of our non-patrol positions, our traffic unit investigations, the things that have been lacking over the last 15 years. So we're definitely moving in the right direction. And I think in the next couple of years, if we can fill these positions, we'll be in a really good spot.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone else in the public? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that. Thank you, Chief. Next, we'll move. Go ahead.
Chief Eck. Yep. Chief Eck with Fire.
Fire Department.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for this opportunity. With me tonight, I have Deputy Chief Jason Rawls, who oversees Finance and Administrative Division, and our Senior Management Analyst, Katie Cron, who is the mastermind behind our budget that helps us build it, keeps us on track with all of our expenditures and tracks everything. I'd like to recognize the efforts of our command team in the process of building this budget. Our 24-25, or we want to call it like maybe the pre-Measure Y budget. Before Measure Y, we're just at 26 million. Our current budget at 25-26, our estimated close is just over at 31.5 million. And our proposed budget for 26-27 is 34 million. As you can see, this is a serious influx from Measure Y, and most of that going towards the staffing of the additional positions that we have implemented. So in our position summary, we're currently at 83 sworn staff. If you remember the graph that I was showing a couple of years ago when we were at 67, which was one less than in 2008. So proud to say that we're now at 83 with the addition of 16 personnel from Measure Y. So thank you to the community for that. That's a 24% increase in staffing. So with that, with that increase in our operations staffing, that puts additional pressure on our headquarters staff and our administration division and our community risk reduction division. So that's where we're focusing this next fiscal year, is to provide additional support staff. So currently, because our headquarters staff right now, they'd be still back in 2008 on that side of the graph, because we're still at the same amount of staffing that we had back then. So currently we have 4.5 positions in our administration, and we are proposing an additional 1 person as an administrative assistant. And in our current community risk reduction, we currently have 5 positions, and we're requesting an additional fire prevention specialist. Like City Manager Hauser mentioned, the reason the squad's not in, we were able to bring them on board sooner because of the Safer Squad and your support. So with these staff support physicians, they'll fill vital vacancies and bring us back to our pre-2008 staffing levels of headquarters. Personnel will be responsible for public education, weed abatement, training, administration, and prevention inspections and permitting. And even though we'll go a little bit into that, even with the additional, the Engine 41 and Squad 42 in service, we're already seeing, just within the 2 months of crunching some quick numbers in the last couple months, we're already seeing response time improvements of up to 90 seconds. So that's huge. That's what Measure Y is doing for us. With the squad, like I just mentioned, it was originally requested in this budget, but because we're able to get the SAFER grant with the work of Chad Fitzgerald, our life safety manager and our grant guru, we're able to secure our 3rd SAFER grant. And with your support, we're able to bring those 6 on board. And it just went into service May 1st. And with that, we were able to promote 3 captains, 3 engineers, and that was from Measure Y as well. We did order Type 6 engines, and they are currently in construction. And this current, what you see up here, our current Squad 2 is just a temporary platform. Type 6 is a bigger chassis with a small water tank, hose line, so it can give us additional firefighting capabilities for those, I like to call it the county-city interface, where we keep growing, and there's a lot more vegetation and access issues that will help us provide a better level of service. In fleet, from Measure Y, we will be paying for the 2 Type 6 squad engines, which will become the squad. And we ordered in September 25, and we're expected to receive them in August of 26. And then we'll have to outfit them to get them in service. So probably by the end of this year, they'll be in service. And that was $975,000 for those 2 units. And we also purchased, there's a purchase of 1 staff vehicle for our new fire prevention specialists at $75,000. We do have replacements of 2 staff vehicles at $150,000, and they are fully funded. On the CIP side, we're beginning our assessment and planning of critical remodel at Fire Station 3. It was built in 1989, which was when I graduated high school. So this is almost 40 years, so I guess I'm approaching my 40-year high school reunion in a couple of years. But anyway, it's our oldest station. It's actually our smallest station. It doesn't have a gym like all of our other stations, so it'll include expansion on the north side to include a gym that's inside the station, as well as updates to critical areas in the living areas. We want to avoid what happened with Station 2, where we had critical structural defects, and then we had to scrape and rebuild the whole thing. This will prevent that. We're also going to replace tile in bathrooms at Fire Station number 4, and Fire Station number 4 roof repair, and we're going to make improvements to our training center. So Measure Y, it's our number one goal, or the number one goal is to maintain public safety and effective 911 emergency response. So recruitments right now, we're currently working on a recruitment for a GIS analyst, which is a shared position with PD, and that's the application period closed, and we're getting ready to conduct interviews shortly. We just opened a firefighter recruitment to fill current vacancies and potential vacancies created by retirements, which opened last week, and that's going to close June 17th, because even if we start now, we're preparing to hire in early 27, like February. All 27 positions were approved to begin in January, so we'll start our recruitments in the fall for the 2 positions that we requested. So our projects in progress, like I mentioned, we have Engine 41, Engine 42 now in service. We've already seen the improvement with Engine 41. The squad just went into service, so as always, we're always continually monitoring our performance. We're collecting data, so we're gonna have some good numbers. Like I said, right now, we're already seeing a 90-second response time improvement with just the engine in place, and that's due to it being more capable response unit than the truck. And we're also seeing improvements like when I mentioned earlier, if we have a unit that's on an extended incident, we can move the unit from that's at the station with 2 units, and we can move it and cover. So now that station's covered. Instead of being on an incident for a couple hours and the medical aid's coming in and we're responding from outside stations with extended response times, or like when we go to training. So now we're able to let our crews train and then move our units and cover the stations. So we're keeping our stations covered almost a majority of the time. And we weren't able to do that before. So it's gonna take us a while to see those numbers. So if we get closer to the end of the year and when we get a year's worth of data, we're really gonna see that. And then we'll evaluate the performance of the squad and our future deployment. And like we mentioned, we are working with PDS on the Station 7 land acquisition. And we've been able to increase the number of community events that we're able to attend, which was a council goal as well. So in the last year, we've hired 16 firefighters and promoted 6 captains and 11 engineers, which that's actually the favorite part of my job right there. Hiring and promoting, that's awesome. So we ran out of badges, but that's a good problem. but we're catching up. So anyway, I'd like to thank the council for their support. Without this, we wouldn't be able to strive to maintain your goal of being the safest city in the valley. Thank you to all the other city departments that we depend on to carry out our mission, and thank you to our community for supporting Measure Y and allowing us to serve you. It's our honor.
Okay. Any questions of council for the fire department? Okay. Go ahead and open the public portion. Any comments or questions from the public?
Just with me doing a little bit of research, I was curious, and it's not that the fire or police, I'm for both of you. I'm on Measure Y. I'm totally on your guys' side. But I noticed that we have a much smaller number of firefighters. Is there less need? Because when I look at recommendations of how many firefighters per 1,000, can that be made up for by equipment? Is this budget, obviously it's improving your position, but I'm gonna ask the same question that I asked Chief Fleming is, does this get you to ideal? How far are we away from where we really need to be?
Yeah, well, this is probably the most that we could hire and keep up with at the time. So that's been our biggest challenge, was trying to hire this many people. So that's something that we're striving, again, thank you to our personnel department. But yeah, at that time, we don't really do a firefighter per 1,000 is not really a metric that we use. We base our service on response times. So now that we're getting the additional units, maintaining 3 people on our engines, that's been key for us in getting additional units out. Now we're seeing those response times and our coverage abilities. So that's what we've been able to do and barely keep up. So we're on track for sure.
Thank you, Chief. Go ahead, Mr. Trevino.
Yeah, my name's Steve Trevino. I live on Bullard. Simple question. Is there any plans for that old fire station on Fowler? You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, and the one by the basin there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any plans for that? Any updates on that, Andy? Or Chief?
So until very recently, it was being used as a logistics center for the fire department. It also has been assessed for our facilities plan, and we'll be looking at further. The property has been put into our housing trust for potential housing, but we're going to take a good look at it and make sure it's not critical for city needs before we make that move.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the public? Seeing none, we'll close that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief Hack.
The next mayor will have public utilities with Scott Rudolph.
I need to step
Okay, good evening, Mayor and Council. Scott Riddell's Public Utilities. Let's see if I can get through this. Okay, going over the larger picture of our budget, you can see it continues to go up. Expenses continue to go up. Some of our larger expenses would be for support of the Fresno Regional Treatment Plant and wastewater. Those bills get extremely large depending on how much we're processing and how their costs go up. And you can also see that the water fund is going up in cost. And so we're really glad that we were able to get that Prop 218 passed. So it's going to be very, very important for us in the future. But the rest of the funds are moving along, and again, cost increases, and the numbers look big because they are big, and when they go up, they look bigger because they're bigger numbers. But there's a lot of operations and a lot of things being done out in the Public Utilities Department. So,
A question from Councilmember Basco.
How come there was I'm sorry, how come there was a $3 million decrease in fleet? Is that just from?
Those are annual purchases. So if we're not purchasing as many vehicles, it includes both the operational and renewal budgets and any purchase of new vehicles. And so last year, we purchased a lot of Measure Y vehicles. This year, not so much. We're still purchasing another 7 or 8, or I think 9. But that changes, but it doesn't really change with the operations. The operations are generally consistent. Renewals can. As far as positions, again, growing department, growing city, and so looking at what would be very helpful for us getting our work done out in public utilities. We're looking at a GIS analyst. Unique position that we're looking at and proposing this year is a public utilities finance manager. That would be our plug-in with the finance department. And that position at this point, and talking with Jay and Andy, could be extremely valuable as far as how public utilities and finance and all work together. But we have a lot of numbers we're moving out there. We have a lot of potential numbers, not just considering the landscape maintenance district, but the community facilities district, which we hope gets implemented. And then all the other enterprise budgets that have a lot of working finances and how we fund them. So I think, in my esteem, my view, that it would be a very integral position out in public utilities, linking with our assistant directors and our managers, and just making sure that our flow of finances is good, especially with the large amount of expenses and revenues we're going through. The rest are kind of just your typical enterprise positions, supervisor and utilities, which helps out both for water and wastewater. Staff analysts, they support the whole yard, all those operations in the previous slide. Some specific to solid waste, and those are for that we are expanding our services. We can only Your service can only pick up generally about 3,500 pickups a week, and as the city grows, there are a certain amount that you have to grow with it, and so we have to add those routes. And so that solid waste and the utility worker, which we call the swamper, is for the commercial side of things, so that we're developing another commercial route to serve those commercial businesses. That is not with the recycling and organics. That's just for the regular municipal solid waste. And then a parks maintenance specialist. What we found is we're getting behind on all the inspections on play equipment and structures and amenities in the parks, and that's a big no-no. And so we really need to start focusing on that. And we have a lot of parks in the city and a lot of amenities that we really need to make sure that are in tip-top shape and that are not a safety hazard and not a threat to the people that use them. On the Measure Y side, just continuing with what we had requested before, which is in the priority of parks, general funded parks. We took care of our tree crew last year, which is great. I would remind that they started later in the year, so we haven't really had too much to get behind us saying, okay, here's how much we've done, but we have accomplished quite a bit. Same thing with streets. We're looking at finishing off those crews in a 2-year kind of phase of being able to address potholes and then grinding for ADA paths and whatnot. Because you can figure that the potholes are going to be addressed coming up and during the winter time when it's raining. Outside of that, then they would be on other types of activities, all for safety concerns. And street lighting, the same thing, is to get out there. If you're not getting those street light lit, that poses a safety hazard. Some of the big things we're working on, the master planning and municipal services review for water supply and the new general plan, not to mention our current demands on the system and changing all the time on how we need to serve. Keeping the city in compliance with SGMA, that's a big thing. We're a sustainable community, and we need to be for sure by 2040. So as we work with the North Kings GSA, we work within that system. The Kings Basin needs to be sustainable by 2040 as well as us. And like I said, we're sustainable already, but we're part of an overall system, 7 agencies banded together to create some sustainability by 2040. So it's a pretty big deal, pretty big projects. As Jay mentioned in his, basin recharge is a huge component in getting water back in the aquifer. We're going to continue. We're about halfway through the advanced metering infrastructure. That is where, if you have, I akin it to like a PG&E smart meter, you'll be able to see your usage almost real time to a certain extent, so that for us, it allows us to see if there's leaks, if there's water wasting going on. It's more of ability to see, oh, we know we can identify a problem here. For the resident, it's that they can check in and they can monitor their usage better and decide, okay, real time, this is what's happening. We're looking at the CFD. Again, we're going to bring back a workshop in a few months, a couple months, and go over in detail what the CFD means for the maintenance section. Maintaining and increasing the city's pavement condition is huge. If Measure C doesn't come through, it's going to be a big deal. So, because we're exhausting our HUDA and SB1 funds, and Measure C is being potentially phased out here if we don't get that passed again. So it's a big deal. And ZEV is big by 2030 now, so we still have to be in compliance unless something amazing happens where the mandate goes away or gets relieved to some extent. But we have got it reduced, or we've got an additional time, so that's been really good. But it's still, it's a haunting thing knowing that we're going to have large purchases ahead for EV, whatever they are, maybe hydrogen type vehicles. Parks and street side is a huge thing for us to make sure that the city is at an exceptional level of service. I like to say that. Some may say it's not, but we try very hard to make sure it's presentable. And for a solid waste is committee, just meeting that compliance with SB 1383, and it has been quite a trek. And it's ongoing. We are in compliance at this point in time. We haven't got any notice of violations, but I know through the process we've done a lot of things that may be painful to customers or may be painful for everybody, but we're getting there. And again, this is a state mandate. We will do it. So always include this budget slide to show you what the proposed rate increases that are in the budget are. And what it shows is a $250 on an average bill. It would increase a user at this point in time for July 1st going forward, $250 a month, $5 bi-monthly. But the thing to take notice there, again, in the one line, that's zero increase in the water rates on July 1st. On January 1st, the implementation of the new water rates goes into effect. Don't expect it to make that much of effect on people's water bills until we start getting into the spring, summer months, when we will start seeing what the usage is and the larger effect on water bills. And then the last slide here is just going over our Measure Y components, the goals we fit in, and our usage of them. And we are not a large usage of Measure Y fund, but we do have an amount that's worth, showing that we are using a portion of it, in the 4% range. So we appreciate that. It is huge for our operations, because our general fund and streets, our parks and streets are general funded, and any funds we can get to help out there is just desperately needed. So we appreciate that, and thank you. And with that, I'm open to any questions.
Go ahead, Drew.
Scott, what's our plan to address the tree mortality issue we had during the drought? Are we on top of that?
So we're, the Parks Maintenance Specialist, if we're bringing on that position, is also going to do a tree inventory and really get down to drilling down a plan. An exact plan? No, we're just trying, over the last 5-10 years, we've been just trying to keep up with things, and I know it's not well. We have a whole bunch of golden redwoods and things that we need to deal with. But we know they're out there, and so as this funding kicks in, as the general fund portions and the Measure Ys kick in, we absolutely will be much more visible out there, removing the dead trees and maybe public safety concern trees, because even in this last windstorm, we had some branches fall down and do damage to cars. That's what happens. Happened in my own yard, but not my car, thank you.
We lost some limbs in my neighborhood over the weekend.
Yeah, it was a big windstorm, and so we are in the process of really developing a tree plan with the extra resources you have provided us. I think over the next 3 to 5 years, we're going to get there, and we're going to have a good replacement plan going on. It's still going to take a while. There's 50,000 some odd trees, and they die, right? And they only live so long, or they become dangerous, or they have recluse built. There's all kinds of things with living creatures, living entities that disease and stuff, whatnot. So yes, but we will put together a plan.
And just on a side, with the increase in water rates, I mean, people were upset about that, and reasonably so. If it's possible, when we're replacing these filters that have gone like up 1,000%, maybe it would be something we could put on our social media before and after, and hey, this filter used to cost us $300, now it's costing us $1,000, or just, I think just explaining to folks, this is why we had to raise the rates. I think it might be helpful. People, I mean, they may not be happy, but they would understand a little bit more.
We could definitely create some sort of transparency in what the residents got for their money, yes.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Lynn.
You can use my picture picking up trash in the Loma Vista Park. I was going to send you some on graduation day, but that seemed really rude, so I didn't. We had 3 bags on Saturday. You're welcome. Anyway, love the trash can at the fire department, though. Thank you, fire department, for the trash can out there. I just want to commend your work, and I've always been an advocate that public utilities is part of public safety, and I know it's not police and fire, but there's a ton of evidence about clean parks, make safer communities. Public utilities often sees safety issues before anybody else sees them. So I don't want you to ever have to apologize for using Measure Y, because I think it's right, and I think we appreciate a clean community. So, and I think getting some of these parks cleaned up and whatnot is really important. So I just wanted to shout out to you are part of the public safety equation, and I don't think we should ever neglect that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Scott, I had a couple questions. First is, can you talk about the pedestrian bridge and why that was decided versus other stuff on the trails? Because it's for the Dry Creek Park, right? So they wanted that bridge. I see it as a project that, is that funded by parks? Or is that the industrial park they're gonna fund it? Because I see it in there.
Yeah. In the capital program?
Yeah, there's a
And trail
capital
improvements.
project for trail improvements to put a bridge to connect the Dry Creek Industrial Park to the trail. I believe that was developer funded and.
Is that developer fund?
A
Grant?
grant, a
Okay.
grant funded project.
Okay. as long
It's
as
outside
that,
our
then
purview.
Yeah, so
Then
Public
that's-
Planning Development Services is lead on that project.
Okay, sorry. you're
When,
different.
when it gets built, that's when we'll be
That's when
very
you get-
interested, because we're going to have to maintain it. Yeah.
Yeah. I only ask because if it's our funds, I think I prefer benches because during Trail Fest, I found that a lot of people wanted a place to rest, but there were less benches for our senior community or whoever, even kids with parents with kids. And so I was just thinking, if we're going to do a bridge, I prefer 5 benches on the trails instead of, I don't know the cost, but since it's a grant, then I don't have an issue with that. And my other question is, with regards to the list of street improvements, there 11 are design, 5 are reconstruction or construction. Why the heavy design? Are there not enough already pre-designed to construct? And so that's why we're putting more on the design part of it, greater majority on that versus actual fixing, and then we can just design because there's never enough for both. And if we fix the streets, people feel better about it than if we tell them,
Yeah.
we designed it whenever we get the fund.
It's always a competition for money, and I guess I'll let the, Renee's going to come after me, and she can speak
it also her?
potentially more on it. I would tell you this, though, that doing design projects and getting them shelf-ready gives you an advantage towards grant funding.
Okay.
And so there is a reason. Yeah, there's a reason sometimes to get out ahead and to make yourself more competitive. But we have focused a lot more money on preventative maintenance and getting out there and actual physical construction and improvements.
Okay. I guess we can wait till planning. It's under your department, I'm assuming, Renee, versus the actual, yeah. And so we'll listen to it then. That way we can stay on topic. I just saw that, so just wanted to ask.
Okay.
Any other questions of Stan? Okay, we're going to open the public again. So, questions?
Eric Rollins I live on Ashcroft Avenue in Clovis. Kind of my question was, this is the third time I've been through budgeting, and each time I kind of get it a little bit better. Nonetheless, you speak in acronyms, there's things that I have to research pretty much every meeting. This has to do with enterprise funds, and they're basically, if I'm understanding right, they're fees that the city charges for services, and you're using those fees, for instance, you were talking about employees being paid for from enterprise funds. First of all, is that correct? Did I get that about right?
Yeah, the funds are intended for their use.
Okay.
The collection of those funds have an intent for use.
Okay. So unlike, say, police and fire, you have kind of a closed system where that money is directly meant to fund those positions, to provide those services. And yet I'm seeing a huge need for Measure Y money. I'm not advocating for more fees. I want to be very clear, I'm for limited government. But should we be looking at, are we not charging the right amount? Is that why you need it? Or is it just the need is now so outgrown our ability to fund it?
So,
Hold on, is that your question? That's it? Okay.
so unfortunately, I removed the slide by fund. Maybe I should have left that. So we work on funds, and so basically, if the water collects revenue, it can only be used on water enterprise, which is to serve water, wastewater, solid waste is only for solid waste operations. So when you see those large numbers and those large budgets, they're colored for specific operations. And so when we say we need a general fund for parks, Well, 70% of our parks is funded through the Landscape Maintenance District, but you cannot use LMD money that we collect for residents for a specific purpose for general fund uses. So you can't mix those, you'll get in big trouble. So what we do is we have some general fund components that we can only get and get done with general fund numbers, funding. So like in Bicentennial Park, that's a general fund park. If we want to keep maintaining that, we need general fund dollars. The trees throughout a lot of the city that aren't in the LMD, if we want to have a replacement plan and remove and replace and get those and start getting the city in a better condition, we have to ask for general fund money. And what's happened, of course, is Measure Y. We thank the council for carving out a small portion of that to augment the general fund portion that we're already getting, because the general fund isn't continuing to go up. And so the Measure Y is allowing us to provide these services and to provide these additional services.
Thank you, Scott.
It's just parks and streets.
Any other questions from the public? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that. Any other comments from council? Thank you very much for the presentation, Scott.
And Mayor, next we'll have Renee Mathis with Planning and Development Services.
Yes.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. I brought Fernando up with me because it seems like you may have a few questions on our community investment program. So when we get to that portion of the presentation, I will turn to my expert. I appreciate the opportunity tonight to present Planning and Development Services Operations and Maintenance Budget for 26-27 and the Community Investment Program Budget. So as a reminder, PDS includes 3 divisions. We've got the Planning Division, Engineering Division, and the Building Division. We also have an administrative team that provides both technical and administrative support to all 3 of our divisions. In 24-25, our actual expenditure budget was just over $13.7 million. This fiscal year in 25-26, our estimate to close is approximately $16.1 million. And next year, our proposed budget for 26-27 is $18.5. You'll see that's about a $2.5 million increase, and that's predominantly related to the filling of vacant positions. So the major budget changes from this fiscal year to next would be an increase we are anticipating next year in our building permit issuance. We're hearing from the industry a larger number of permits will be pulled. We also have increases in our hourly rates and our entitlement fees on an annual basis. We bring back to council for your consideration and approval an update to our rates, and so that's being increased. And we're also hearing a potential decrease in the number of entitlements that will be processed next year when we have our GPA moratorium while we continue to work on our general plan update. And we had quite a few applications come in this year that we will continue to work on through next year. PDS in general, Planning and Development Services, is an enterprise fund, and that means we do charge fees for the services that we collect, or for the services that we provide. We do receive a small portion of general fund support in the amount of $350,000 every year. That money is used for services that are not tied to any fees. Those services are predominantly related to traffic, so traffic accident reports, speed surveys, and speed studies. We also provide Geographic Information System, or GIS services. That's our mapping and data, public records request, and code enforcement. So our position summary, the changes for 26-27 are included on this exhibit. We have 70 FTEs, or full-time employee positions, budgeted next fiscal year. We have 11 vacancies that are in various forms of recruitment right now. And again, kind of going back to the estimate to close in the department request, our expectation is those positions will be filled next year, and that's why you see that increase. Other changes include the elimination of a senior building inspector. We recently went to some flexing of positions from a 1 to a 2 to a senior.
so we didn't need to have an additional senior building inspector. We also added one new supervising civil engineer for our traffic section, and we have no new Measure Y funded positions. And I'll go into a little bit more detail what my department was funded with in terms of Measure Y. Okay, noteworthy projects. So back in March, I provided an update to council on most of the projects in PDS. What I wanted to do tonight is just really kind of highlight a couple of the more noteworthy projects for next fiscal year. So starting with the planning division, our Vista Ranch Master Plan project, we anticipate releasing that environmental document at the end of this month or the beginning of June. We will then, based on the comments received back, hopefully be in front of our Planning Commission and our City Council before the end of this calendar year. That project has been going on for multiple years. We also will be beginning this summer a review and recommendation to update our city sign ordinance. And so council will probably recall, not too long ago, they directed staff to review, research, and propose options to amend our signage ordinance addressing electronic signage, aesthetics, location, consistency, avoiding clutter, and really maintaining that city character. We did release an RFP. We received one proposal back. We're evaluating it, and then we'll be back in front of council with a recommendation. We also continue to work on our general plan update. I think it was within the last few meetings, our consultant, Ben Ritchie with De Novo, provided an update. The general plan update is a 3-year project. We're about halfway through, so 1.5 years left. We're currently in phase 2 of that update. We're focused on land use alternatives in our goals and policy priorities. And then another very large project that planning staff continues to work on is the Heritage Grove H land specific plan. We're in the early stages of the environmental. This is a very large project covering about 900 acres there at Shepherd and Willow. We anticipate that project right now, based on the schedule, will be back in front of Planning Commission and City Council for consideration at the end of calendar year 2027. Moving on to building. So building is in the process right now of issuing approximately 260 multifamily residential permits. That's important because Clovis hasn't issued any multifamily permits for a number of years. It's for the Avenue. That project is there at the south east corner of Shepherd and Willow. So once those permits are issued, which that is what we're hearing from the developer, then building will begin a multi-year inspection of that project as it continues to develop out. Building will also continue working on the inspection of CUSD, or that's Clovis Unified School District's facilities, operations, and maintenance building there at Fowler and Herndon. We anticipate that to be complete this summer. And then building is also investigating into a new mobile inspection request software. So this software will offer to contractors a tool to expedite the scheduling of inspections and the immediate result of those inspections via text. So it's just another opportunity for us to streamline and really try to help expedite work in the community. Moving on to engineering. Engineering continues to thoroughly assess our current development impact fee program. That would be phase 1. We anticipate having the results of phase 1 complete at the end of this summer. We'll be back in front of council to report out the results of phase 1, and then based on those results, we'll enter into phase 2 of the work. Phase 2 will really be based on the findings of phase 1. We'll make potential recommendations to our major facilities fee program. We'll have optional We'll have an option to reevaluate all of our fees, and the Nexus study updates to validate and further enforce compliance with the Mitigation Fee Act. Then next for engineering, we've got our citywide wayfinding plan, trail resources guide, and design of our entryway features. We've been working very diligently on some concepts that we've held at Trail Fest, at our booth, trying to solicit public input. So engineering plans on being back in front of council with a complete proposed project here in the fall. So we'll be showing you our recommended concepts and then our preferred entryway feature. It's actually pretty exciting. And then last is our Safe Streets for All action plan. This project will begin this summer. The Safe Streets for All action plan is really an opportunity for the city to retain a consultant to evaluate roadway safety conditions citywide. We'll identify high-risk locations and trends, and then based on that, we'll develop a data-driven safety action plan. Staff will ensure that all roads are evaluated, including those within close proximity to school sites, and outreach with CUSD as a stakeholder. What this plan is not is a standalone safe routes to schools plan. What it is more of a safety plan to identify where we've got those gaps or safety issues, and then a plan to address them. As far as the Safe Routes to Schools plan, we do have an active transportation plan. We have meetings with CUSD, so we continue to engage on opportunities for improvements.
Renee, for that one, does it also look at some of the county areas that are interfacing with us as well?
So it's citywide, just within the city.
Does it also take those areas where around the city, county?
We will continue to coordinate with the county on the project. I don't recall, and I'll look to Fernando, if the county is doing their own Safe Streets for All action plan, but we will definitely, where you see the cross-jurisdictional boundaries, continue to work collaboratively with our neighbors.
Excuse me for my coughing attack. I would advocate for, while it's not a Safe Routes to Schools action plan, I would advocate for safe routes to schools in the Safe Streets plan. There isn't a reason why any kid in Clovis should have to walk to school in the dirt or in traffic so I would elevate that if it was possible to make sure. We don't have many, but we have some. So I would advocate, even though it's not official Safe Routes to Schools, it can still get us to Safe Routes to Schools in the interim.
I agree.
Small advocacy point. Thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Thanks for that comment, and we'll make sure that when we bring that consultant on board, we emphasize the importance of that. My expectation would be, because this is to evaluate roadway safety and schools are included in that, we're going to identify those gaps.
And that would be a good maybe standing agenda item for this quarterly meeting with Clovis Unified as well, just to keep everybody in the same boat, still talking about this is really important, because they have a role too, as they build schools, remodel schools and whatnot. So.
Thank you.
And Renee, I'm assuming it also takes into consideration trails that cross the streets. Because we get a lot of those complaints, and so it'll be assessing those.
Mid-block crossings,
Yeah,
I think it's going to look at any kind of safety-driven concern within the city. So with that, I'm going to move on to the community investment program, unless there's any questions regarding the O&M budget for PDS. No? Okay, so moving on to the CIP. So the CIP, you've heard in a few, at least in Jay's presentation, for the 26-27 new fiscal year, we've got an approximately $47.6 million budget. This is a large component of the city's overall budget. It covers 52 different proposed projects that range from design, right-of-way, and construction. Engineering is ultimately responsible for preparing and implementing the CIP for all departments in the CIP. Community Investment Program is devoted to improvements and physical infrastructure to really sustain continued community development. In general, the CIP, while I won't go over all of the 50-plus projects, in general, the CIP addresses ADA improvements throughout the city, ongoing maintenance of the trail system within the city, design and construction of asphalt overlays and roadway rehabilitation for all of our streets, our arterials, collectors, and our local neighborhood streets. And PDS, Planning and Development Services, continues to work with the Public Utilities Department, as well as all of our departments, in securing and making sure we've got water for current climate conditions and future development in accordance with the general plan. And that includes master planning, identifying recharge facilities, and new wells. So on this slide, while I have included all of the different accounts within the community investment program, starting with government facilities all the way down to refuse, which comprises all of the activities for this next year. I've also identified the funding sources at the bottom that make up that $47.6 million. So you'll see a little bit further in the presentation, we've got about 1.3 million in Measure Y. That's 2 positions and then some capital. Actually, it's the capital projects. The positions are in our operations budget. We've got some fund balance, revenue from other agencies, our capital and development fees, and then our enterprise funds. So some of the highlights for the community investment program, again, I'm not going to go over all 52, but I did want to highlight a few of the bigger projects for us. So current projects means these are projects we anticipate that will be done in the fiscal year 26-27. We've got our Ashland Avenue reconstruction project, that's from Winery to Peach. Tonight, I believe council approved as part of the consent pre-authorization. So as soon as we get our bids back in, we want to be able to review, validate, conform them, and then begin that work so we can get it done during the summer. It's also a project we're coordinating because City of Fresno is very close by. We also have our Police Department Alternative Dispatch Center in Loma Vista. We anticipate starting construction this fall. And then our Senior Activity Center, the Northwest Annex tenant improvements, that project has kicked off, and that's about a year-long project. We anticipate that being done next summer. Our multi-year projects, we have the second phase of Shaw Avenue, that's in Loma Vista, DeWolf to Leonard. That work is going to start this summer, and it's about a year-long project. We also have Herndon Avenue, Temperance to Locan. That is another project that we anticipate starting this fall, and that will also be about a year long. And both Shaw and Herndon are Measure C projects, so they're really important projects for the community. We also have our DeWolf Avenue and our Owens Mountain Parkway roundabout project. We're in the final phases of getting our right-of-way, and then we will kick off construction. That is a grant-funded project. Okay, Measure Y. So PDS is very grateful for the Measure Y funding that we receive. Our funding is related to Goal 5, and that is repair of streets and roads. Just as a reminder, in 25-26, PDS was authorized 2 positions mid-year. Both of those positions are related to transportation funding and traffic. Those positions are currently in the recruitment process, and we anticipate having them filled by the end of this year, if not the beginning of next year. Those positions roughly are just under $300,000 at the beginning of the fiscal year being fully funded. Other projects that were identified in 25-26 include the Gettysburg Park restroom and re-roof. That project was completed in November of 25. Our Fire Station 1 roof resealing. Construction is going to start this summer. And then our police and fire headquarters locker rooms remodel. That construction is anticipated to be complete before the end of this calendar year. For next year in 26-27, PDS does not have any new Measure Y funded positions. We just have the 2. But we do have a handful of projects that we are planning to work on this next year. The first is the police and fire headquarters. We have some jail maintenance, elevator, and the re-roof for the mechanical well. That design will start this summer, July of 26. We also have our Fire Station 4 roof resealing and our bathroom remodels. That too, the design will start this summer. And then we have our Recreation Center annual maintenance project. That scoping work will start this summer. This is a project we work closely with the Rec Center on what are their needs. It could be anything from floor repairs to AC. It's really a collaborative process. And with that, that concludes my presentation. We are available for any questions.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
More of a comment. Over the last year or 2, I've had a lot of conversations with developers and people building projects. And while they may grouse about our fees, they're always complimentary of staff. We return phone calls. We're open to their suggestions. And I think they perceive they're being treated fairly. And you really can't ask for more than that. I have yet to have somebody say things that I hear about other places in the valley. So I'm very happy with your staff, and congratulations.
I appreciate that comment. Thank you.
Go ahead, Lynn.
Didn't see anything about the old senior center that has a new name. Is that on is that part of the facilities assessment? I'm sure that's what you're gonna say. But no, I knew you were gonna say that. But no other investment, no other cleanup, no other structural in that building in this budget?
Yeah, there's nothing allocated in this current budget. If it comes back as a high priority with our plan, then it would with a budget amendment.
And what is happening in that building right now? Is that senior center spillover?
It's senior center programming, community programming overall. I think it's more than just senior centers.
Line dancing, thank God.
Yeah. So it's one of the decisions that council, we will have to make on what's the priority for that space. What kind of investment do we want to make? And those are the questions we really want to get to and answer before we put more money in.
And the same thing will apply to the empty library building when that occurs in the courthouse?
As well as the
Same
courthouse,
question.
yes. Yeah, we have a lot of decisions to make, especially on this campus.
Okay, thanks. And I'll just second the comments from Drew. Symbolized by the Peg Bloss Plaza last year. So thank you all.
Well, Fernando, I can't not ask my question, right? And so as we saw, there were 27 and 14, 27 design, 14. I know you listed those only. And so is there a reason why there's a higher on design versus the actual construction, reconstruction? Because I'm seeing that out of the 33, we're funding 31. So if we, can you just help me understand why the ratio is higher on design?
Yes, good evening, everybody. So by the way, the reason for that is because we don't have enough money to do reconstruction on every single project. That would be first. Second, we have the intention to go after federal funds, and they projects that are fully designed rank better instead of going asking for design and construction funds. And so I'm sorry, one more thing. So if we this coming March, so next year in March, we'll submit the applications, and then those that are granted will wait until the funds are available, and the other ones will go in construction once we have available funds for it.
So on that list, you said 31 are funded, right? If you go back to that chart, Renee, can you go back? So I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah.
So you said there's 33, but then something about where number of projects, proposed number. I thought there was a funded number was smaller than that, or just proposed. Can't we fix more roads is what I'm trying to say, instead of designing so much more? Or is design so much cheaper that it is better used to get more design projects ready? Because does it take 5 design for 1 extra road? Doesn't that help the community more? Because not all 27 are going to get funded. 1, 2, 3 maybe, right? So in other words, we can reduce that and actually fix a road. Or is the cost of the 2 so high that if you added 1 extra project to be constructed, the number of design would go down to 3, 2, 1, whatever? Is that the reality? And that
Yes, you're correct.
Okay.
So more or less to design a half-a-mile project, it ranged between $35,000 to $50,000, depending on the complexity of the project. To reconstruct or grind and overlay a project of a half a mile, it takes between $500,000 to $900,000.
Okay.
So that's why investing and having the design complete, we'll go after funds. If we get them, we only pay, depending on the match, like 11% of it.
Okay.
That's the purpose of it.
Go ahead.
So if I could also add my time when I was working on applications for grants, Clovis was always very competitive because we tiered our applications so that we had design in 1 year, right away in another, construction in another, and we tended to be able to deliver our projects also. So I think that's other considerations that are given, especially now in the climate where these funds are limited. You've got a lot of agencies that are submitting multiple applications, and Clovis delivers. I mean, we are very competitive, and our region can count on us to deliver our projects.
And Great job on the outreach at Trail Fest for the, just getting community input for the sign ordinance. There's so many people, whether they're from Clovis or not, it's still just good to get that much community input because those charts had so many dots on them just to see what features they liked. And I guess we also got a preview, if you went and saw that, okay, you guys did take into consideration what we talked about and then the putting on the maps. Really great job on that, so.
Thank you, I appreciate that. I'll share that comment with staff. And we are excited to bring it back later this summer, early fall, kind of the findings and even council's comments on looking into kind of some of the work on the Caltrans bridges. We'll be reporting back on that as well.
And I saw signs, Fresno's fixing their Ashland portion, right? Because I thought I saw signs from there to Winery, so is that, are we coordinating so it's at the same time or not with that reconstruction?
Good question, thank you. We're coordinated with Fresno.
Okay.
This past week, we received an email from Fresno stating that they will be done prior to June 22nd is when our contracts will start.
Okay.
So that's the purpose of the Zoom coordination back and forth with them. They were supposed to be at the same time, but we asked them to please move the schedule, so they did it.
Well, great.
Yeah,
That's, I keep saying that's probably the worst street in Clovis, and so it's good, it's getting
And
fixed.
that's a federally funded project as well.
Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah.
So Mayor, if I may, we have, over this past year, started having regular meetings with the city of Fresno so we can talk about the coordination of projects. So those meetings have been very fruitful in just both agencies understanding what's going on and trying to communicate if there's going to be a potential, I wouldn't call it a conflict, but if we've got multiple projects going on right next to each other, different contractors, just doing our best to work out a schedule. Fernando has been very instrumental in working with Fresno and their team in trying to coordinate this work so it has the least impact on the public.
And I think, Andy, in our meeting with the mayor and city manager of Fresno, this is exactly what we wanted, to just have that type of discussion happening so that we can coordinate better between the departments. So great to hear that's happening. Okay, at this time we're going to go ahead and open the public portion. Anyone like to comment on Public Works? No? Okay, we'll close that. Thank you very much for excellent presentation. Okay, now we'll move to general service. Oh, sorry, Andy, I keep taking.
No, you're good.
Yeah.
General Services, Amy Hance.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight, it's my pleasure to be presenting the FY 2026-27 General Services budget. Before I get started, I'd like to express my thanks to the entire General Services team who work diligently every day, and my sincere gratitude to the management team for their work and support during this year's budget process. And I didn't plan to say this, but I think I'm the last staff person to be presenting. Chad is out of town, so I'd like to say on behalf of my executive staff teammates, we have worked very well together this year, and this budget is collaboration on all of us. And it's pretty clear that I couldn't do my work without all of my other teammates, and I think they all feel the same. So, cheers to my partners back there. As a reminder, the General Services Department is comprised of the Personnel and Risk Management Division, the Department Support Division, and the Community Services Division. These three divisions provide a wide variety of services to our internal and external customers. I'd like to begin with the Personnel and Risk Management Division. This division is responsible for administering all aspects of personnel duties for the city, which include administration of the city's personnel ordinance and personnel rules, employee classification, recruitment, orientation and training, employee benefits administration, personnel records management, and labor relations. This division also administers the city's risk management function, which includes procurement of various insurance coverages, processing liability claims, administration of the workers' compensation program, and the development of employee safety and loss control. So if it sounds like a lot, it is. This division is internally funded, consisting of revenue from all city departments, including our general fund, enterprise funds, and now Measure Y. The first budget you'll see here is our administration budget for personnel and risk management. This budget's increasing by 17%, which includes funding for a part-time clerical position, escalating costs for professional services, and an increase in costs for materials and supplies. Next up, we have the employee benefit budget. This represents a 12% increase and includes higher costs of employee health insurance, retirement costs, and the deferred compensation program. The increase in the cost of deferred compensation is due to the growing number of city employees, and the higher cost of employee health and retirement costs are due to a greater number of employees, but also a higher cost per employee. Next up, we have our liability and property insurance line items. These two are increasing, this one by 27%, which really reflects the escalating costs for insurance for the various types of insurance that the city maintains. This next slide is required by the California Assembly Bill 2561. This bill went into effect January 1st of 2025, and it requires local public agencies to hold a public hearing at least once per fiscal year and prior to the adoption of the annual budget regarding job vacancies, recruitment efforts, and retention efforts. So on this slide, you can see what we did. This is the last calendar year. It doesn't follow a fiscal year, it's a calendar year. So last calendar year, we posted 65 job openings, interviewed 500 people, and when I look at that number, I'm always amazed that 500 folks came through our department, and we talked to them and met with them and interviewed them. We created 68 eligibility lists and made 101 conditional job offers. These numbers will go up for next year because we had so much hiring happen in quarter 3 and quarter 4 of this current fiscal year. Our current recruitment efforts, we cast our net wide. So anywhere we can look for a quality employee, we do. Our retention efforts, and I think you've just seen the price tag of our retention efforts. We have a very competitive and attractive benefit package. We give a milestone award to our folks as they move through their time here at the city. We provide tuition reimbursement. This is our very popular program. A educated workforce is a quality and hopefully retained workforce. We do professional development. We offer compressed work weeks if the operation allows it. And we also do fitness classes and challenges. So we try to make things fun and great for our families, for our employees' families. Our potential challenges, this list has grown over this past year, but we do have some economic instability that we're all dealing with. We have some limited marketing opportunities. It's just sometimes really hard to break through the chaos and the noise, especially on social media, to get the word out. We're having cost of living increases. We have an aging workforce, which means we have higher turnover, and it's really hard to replace that institutional knowledge that the city has benefited from for so many years. And then we also compete with the private industry. It's really, it's not a standard in the private industry, but a lot of places offer telework or virtual work, and so many of our jobs just don't allow that to happen. We have a hard time competing. All right, back to our regular programming. Here we go. All right, so facilities maintenance. This is our next division in general services. This is department support. It's responsible for the purchase and acquisitions of goods and services. This includes development of bid specifications and requests for proposals, and it oversees various contracts for goods and services provided to the city from our outside vendors. The division is also responsible for maintaining all city buildings and related equipment. This division establishes maintenance schedules, performs building maintenance, repairs, and new construction, and it also administers various facility-related maintenance contracts. This division is internally funded, consisting of revenue from all city departments, including general fund, enterprise fund, and now Measure Y. So this budget has been increased by about 26% to include costs for additional team members that we brought on during Q3 and Q4 of this fiscal year, along with the funding to complete facility projects that are either overdue maintenance or new projects. Next up is department support. This budget is essentially status quo with only small increases throughout the budget. This one does contain the expenditure for energy costs throughout the city. So this is essentially our PG&E bill. We've added a 6% escalator for our PG&E line or our energy line this year, and that's based on information that we've received from industry experts and from PG&E themselves. So up about 6% for the next fiscal year.
Amy, this includes streets as well? PG&E
For the
energy
streetlights?
bill for streets?
No.
Streetlights, I mean, streetlights.
No.
Yeah, streetlights would be in public utilities
Public
in the street
utilities.
section.
Okay.
It's for lights in all of our buildings.
Buildings.
Yep.
And air conditioning.
And air conditioning.
Which works well.
It does.
Save money if it wasn't 42 degrees. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so next up is our Community Services Division, and they are responsible for senior programming for adults 50 years and better at our Clovis Senior Activity Center, our recreation programs for youth and adults, along with the Clovis Rotary Skate Park, the Clovis Batting Range, and Clovis Recreation Center, and public transit, which includes the city's Roundup Demand Response Transit Program and the Fixed Route Stage Line Program. Funding for recreation and senior programs is through discretionary general fund, Measure Y, and fees paid by our participants. The senior center also receives additional funding through donations, fundraising, and some grants. Public transit is funded through a combination of federal, state, and local formulary allocations with various grants, and sometimes we get a competitive award. Sometimes we're successful. So we're going to start off with the senior center. This budget represents programming in the Clovis Senior Activity Center and some of the programs in the community centers. So to your point, Councilmember Ashbeck, I don't know the split. Bethany's here, she could probably tell you, but we're both recreation and senior services are running programs inside that building. This budget also encompasses the costs of running both of the facilities, the community center and the senior center, and as presented is a 3% increase. I think it's always important to note inside this budget is also the annual $660,000 bond payment for construction of our new senior center. So that runs through this budget. Next up is our recreation budget. It is essentially status quo for next year. And then last but not least is our public transit budget. This budget, as presented, includes a $4.6 million investment in new transit vehicles that will replace our aging buses and will also allow us to expand our transit fleet. If we remove the capital investment expenditures out of that big number, that $19.7 million, this essentially is also a status quo budget. And then finally, our overall budget highlights, our line item increases, I talked about it, professional services, the cost of doing business has just gone up. Our employee benefits are up, along with retirement contributions, and of course, all of our insurance products that the city has to purchase. For new positions and position conversions, we have no changing to our current staffing plan for next year. And then just an update on where we are for Measure Y. So we also had some benefit from Measure Y in this current fiscal year. We were able to hire all those new people, and I'm really happy to say that all of them are on board. We still are recruiting for one of our building technicians. So we're looking for that person and hoping to have them on by midsummer. For fiscal year 26-27, Measure Y, the goal number 7 is really where general services lands, and that is community programming for our seniors and recreation. So we're really happy, and Renee mentioned it in her budget presentation, that the Recreation Center is going to be receiving about $250,000 for much needed improvements. We have a list much longer than that, but we'll be working with PDS
their staff to figure out priorities and how we can really make that money go as far as we possibly can. We're really excited about that. And then Measure Y is also still supporting 2 of our positions in community services. And I am available for any questions.
Any questions from the council? Or comments?
Amy, the rec budget, you said status quo. Did it go down? I thought it was like,
it did go down. It went down a little bit, and that's because they were able to complete some projects that were going on inside the building
I see.
that are not continuing.
Okay. And then my other question was about, I don't know where the skate park discussion is, and I know maybe, is there any money set aside if we need to retrofit the skate park or change something, or, I don't know. Whatever we do in response to the folks that came and said, we're not gonna use it this way, any money for that? Maybe it's not much money that would be required, I don't know.
So we've met with that group and had a very productive and fruitful conversation. We had some homework as staff. The group had some homework also. And there's been some emails going back and forth. So I don't think the issue necessarily is any physical attribute of the skate park.
Right.
It's a policy question.
Okay, all right, that's great. I just want to call out in the budget document, the numbers for the senior center are astounding. Average daily attendance, 850 people. That's amazing. And I think the other number that I thought was very, I don't know, sweet was 32,000 meals proposed for next year. That's a lot of people that are not hungry and that get to have food with other people. So I think that's super great. So anyway, it's really amazing work. Good job.
Yeah. Thank you for your comments. That staff works extraordinarily hard, and if you're ever having a bad day and you just want to go see what community looks like, you can just go over to the senior center and watch what's going on in there.
100%. To the gentleman that told me that the senior center saved his life, I think about that all of the time. So anyway, really good work.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Drew.
Just a quick follow-up on the $850 a day. What percentage of that is people who live in the county of Fresno or the city of Fresno, approximately?
So I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, I was here and we were upside down. We had more people coming from Fresno in the building than we had in Clovis. And we've flipped that over. Yes, we have flipped that over. I know pretty quickly when we opened the building, it became 50-50. I would imagine, I think the last time I pulled that was probably last year sometimes, and it was 60-40. And I bet if we pulled it again, it would be higher still. So for so long, we were sort of not known. Nobody really knew the senior center existed. And then all of a sudden, we got this beautiful Taj Mahal of a building, and our profile went up. And a lot of people from Clovis are in that building, which is exactly how we want it. We like our Fresno friends too, though.
Oh, and that was going to be my follow-up.
Yeah.
I've talked to people who live in the county who go to our senior center, and they have a Clovis address, but they live in the county, but intellectually, they are linked to us. And our friends in the city of Fresno, same thing. I mean, if you give, for some of the folks, especially people who are widows or widowers, they need the interaction, because if they're sitting at home by themselves, sometimes they start on a downward spiral that they just never recover from. And I think what we do at the senior center is, to Lynn's point, we save lives.
Well, the document says that you had 84,000-ish senior center, Clovis senior activity sign-ins, and 100,000 Fresno senior activity sign-ins. I assume that's the classes.
We are a great neighbor.
Yeah.
And our senior center does great work.
185,000 seniors signed in to do activities. That's just amazing. So anyway, good job.
Spectacular.
Any plans, or how does it look when Fresno builds theirs? Do we anticipate losing the 40%, or do we go, no, because it may change, because right now we're very impacted facility-wise because of it, and they've mentioned they're going to start there, so just I know we probably haven't, we're planning because we are impacted, but any thoughts on that?
I mean, to be completely honest, I don't worry about that at all. We have such high demand. We'll post a class up on our website and it's instantly full. And I really hope the city of Fresno can build their senior center for their community. I think that would be a fantastic thing, and we'd look forward to partnering with them if we could.
Yeah, and thank you for all your assistance, and probably Bethany too, in working with their leadership and giving ideas and how we collaborated, how we got funding, all that kind of stuff. I think it was very helpful. Like to Drew's point, we were a great neighbor to them. And then do you have similar stance also with the rec center with regards to how many kids and adults are coming from Fresno proper versus internal, or do we not keep that close of?
We haven't traditionally tracked that, but we could pull that out. I would assume we'd be able to pull that out using our software system. So if you want that data, it would be interesting to look at. But that is also run as a regional center because we know we attract, not only its geographic location is right on the border, but it's just such a hub for affordable quality programming, especially now after school sports has gone up in cost, just like the cost of everything else. And so parents are having to make really difficult choices between sports for their kids. And we all know how essential it is for kids to recreate and recreate safely. So we can pull that data and take a look.
Please,
it would be
because
interesting.
I think just like the senior centers, that it's a safe place for kids. And I think we want to claim and also recognize the great work that the staff is doing, the city's doing, in saving that demographic as well, and allowing parents to come. Affordable programs, $6, $12, $50 for a whole season, that kind of stuff. That's very affordable compared to competitive sports that many of us have our kids in. So, yeah. Okay, at this time we're going to go ahead and open the public portion. Any comments or questions regarding general services? Okay, seeing none, we'll close that. And will you be taking over?
I'll be pinch hitting for Chad McCollum. He is on the road trying to do some business attraction and sales tax attraction to the city. So I'll be pinch hitting for him in a budget I'm pretty familiar with. So for economic development, we're seeing some increases compared to 24-25 and pretty much status quo, but there is an extra position in here. There's some one-time costs that fell off that allowed us to do that. For housing, these are monies that are grants that have been made available and city funds to fund the CDBG, which was discussed a few meetings ago, which includes infrastructure projects such as alleys, repaving projects, rehab projects for mobile homes, those types of things. Our housing rehabilitation is grant from the state. That's $3.2 million where we're actually able to fully reconstruct a home that desperately needs it. And then our first-time homebuyer program also is a grant from the state, $1.1 million. We also have some monies set aside for project development. 135 Osmond is a project that staff has been working on for some time. It is near the senior center, and that is a senior affordable housing project that is going after state grants to be fully funded. It's probably about a $20 million project, and we've committed 1.7, almost 1.8 million to it. And we also have set aside monies for development impact fee loans to encourage affordable housing projects to occur. For staffing modifications, there's none at this time relative to housing. For economic development, we're adding a staff analyst position. And this position will be focused on events, data collection, and helping market and really build that team up, because the more we can collect in revenue in the city of Clovis, the more we can do the rest of the work that you heard tonight. That should start in January 2027. And there's no Measure Y funding going into this department. As far as goals for fiscal year 26-27, economic development, they're going to be focused on the life science job creation and medical med tech, as well as working on semiconductor industry-related businesses. There's been a big regional effort on that. There's active support going on with Fresno State in partnership to support their incubator, which is called Forge. They'll also be participating in the general plan and increasing support of BOOT. That was a request of council, and an increase has been made to BOOT to get them to about approximately $90,000 in support from the city. Then there's also funding set aside to support the America 250 celebrations. For housing, they'll continue to focus on the CDBG program, working on the housing element implementation, such as mixed income zoning, and then assist in the creation of rehab of 62 housing units. And for communications, they'll continue doing their great work in helping us communicate with our residents by expanding the city's digital footprint, website, and making sure we are following all the rules. We have a lot of rules to follow in our communication. With that, that's our economic development, housing, and communications team. There'll be hopefully one added to that. And any questions?
Any questions of Andy? Go ahead.
More of a comment. I brought this up previously, but I was having a conversation with a coffee roaster, and I asked him about why he brought his business here, and he said, I tried to develop in another community and could not get a phone call back. I called the city of Clovis, and they came and picked me up and drove me around and showed me places where I could do business. That's why we win, because we do the things that people expect us to do. And when he told me that, I smiled, because it made me feel good that we have staff that do their jobs, whether it's the police officers and the firefighters showing up to help people take their Christmas lights down after somebody falls, or coming and picking up somebody and making sure that they get back and forth to get a meal at the senior center. This is why we succeed. This is why we are listed. There are 2 towns in California listed in the top 100, us and Elk Grove. And we were listed as one of the best places to retire in California. And that doesn't happen by chance. It happens because of our efforts, your efforts.
Thank you, Drew. Go ahead, Lynn.
I was just going to second that. I was going to say it's because we do the things people expect you would never do, like pick you up or call you back, or Renee and her team and all of you have been working so hard on the downtown business to get that open, and it's just been this endless project, but you've never stepped away. And in the midst of all that, they say the city's the only one that calls them back. So I just think it is the stuff that nobody ever would expect you to do. So anyway, I think that's right. Just want to second that.
Andy, thank you for the increase. I'm assuming it's going to 90,000. My question for the boot for Old Town, I think Councilmember Ashbeck brought an excellent suggestion last time where we need to beautify, we need to invest in lights, whatever it is during the season. Is that enough to boost where they can go, yes, or do we do it in another way to make downtown special during the holidays, during whatever it is? I'm just thinking about that, and I go, we can do more. That's my thought. Or what is it that is more that we can do to assist Boot? Because they bring so much economic vitality, just like the Hot Rods, Motorama. I mean, those things have grown, exponentially. And so, it's just, what do you think?
Staff has met with Boot and come up with a plan for the Christmas holiday extravaganza. Mm-hmm. There's been an investment made by the city as well as a business plan to increase that investment.
Okay.
So that is on there. Plus just general funding has increased. I think the exact amount is 87,000 complete. So if there is additional need, we'll come back. But they put together a plan to achieve some of the goals council had, and we all have for Old Town.
Yeah. Because I think I don't know if they call the rest of the council members, they're always calling to go, can you help us get a donor to help sponsor, the farmer's market? Can you help us contact who we know to get them? So if they keep having to call us, I think we can go, okay, maybe the city can invest because it's a good return.
Yeah, I think in the last couple of years, we've gone from about a $60,000 investment to close to 90.
Okay. And then my second comment is with regards to the culinary center and how we can help them more, because going to the open house this last time, there are just so many people with ideas fathers to young people to just people who are new immigrants who just, the lady from, I forgot, an African nation that now I forgot, that, they're just trying new things because they want to be entrepreneurs. How can we help them more with space, with funding, to get them on their feet?
With another incubator of another sector.
Yeah, likely to do much more expansion, both dollar-wise and impact. They need a new, bigger space. And that's something that group needs to think through, but we're ready to talk that through. I'm also very hopeful with the partnership of Fresno State on their incubator that there could be other incubators in maybe some Fresno State space that could really be cost-effective to really expand, especially with Fresno State's food sciences programs and all the things that they have. So very hopeful on the incubation space and the effort that this team is putting into that as they become some of the local experts in incubation.
And ours is only a small grant to them, huh? Like a yearly?
It pays for their time in this use of the space.
Okay.
Yeah, so they get to utilize the space for a nominal, if not free, depending on their income level.
Okay, got it. Thank you. Yes, go ahead.
Just one other comment to staff. Honestly, this is the first time ever that you all use the same PowerPoint look. And I think I've talked about this for 25 years. Everybody didn't have their own logo, they're different colors. So I just think it was awesome. So I noticed, and I'm very grateful. Looked very nice, good job. Thank you. Good job.
Agreed.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, and I was gonna say at the end too, I noticed all that. The format was beautiful, the color choice, and I think the logos, and then to get the photos of all the staff. I think we had some of those at the mayor's breakfast, but just to see it, and then for finance to have it organized in a way that's similar, so that way it's not different. It was, 3 buckets, here it is, highlights, and then you place the page numbers. Yeah, I asked that a couple years ago because every time we went, I had a tough time looking where the page numbers were, and you put the page numbers at the bottom of every budget item. And then in the budget book, I really like the performance measures, where every department had performance measures and how we get there. So Andy, Jay, all of you, just great job on keeping it very concise and easy for us. So, yeah, great job.
Yeah, Mayor, if I may, that was definitely a team effort. The template was developed by our Planning and Development Services team, and we thought it was so good as a team. We thought, let's roll that out, and our communications team polished it a little bit to make it look even better. And then all the department heads and their teams put all the information in, and I'm just so grateful for this team.
Excellent job. So, but we'll open up the public portion for economic development before we close it all out. Any comments from the public? Okay, so we'll close that. Okay. Andy,
And I've got a few closing comments, Mayor,
Good.
and then I'll turn it to you.
Okay.
So just overall, this budget proposal maintains and enhances our public safety, continues to implement Measure Y, continues capital investments in our community, invests in planning for the future, and provides fiscal and services stability. We are a stable community in a time of instability. As far as the process, that completes the budget hearing for May 18th. Staff is requesting a continuance to June 1st for potential adoption. And with that, I just want to say thank you to the community. Thank you for their investment in their city, both in feedback and in investment in Measure Y. And everything that they invest in our community, they pay taxes. We are grateful. We take that seriously, this expenditure of those. Thank you to City Council for your leadership and feedback over this almost 6-month-long process. The executive team, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate all the insight and effort. Finance, we made it. Thank you so much. I know it was a labor of love, and it's turned.
Exhausted the ones in the back row.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh.
And then to all of our city employees, all this is dollars, but none of it would really matter if we didn't have the people to do the work. And council has represented that well in saying thank you for the work that it represents. We could budget all day long, but if we don't have people that care and have the knowledge to do the work, then it wouldn't matter. So I appreciate that. With that, any further questions, Mayor? I'll turn it back to you.
Any questions or comments? Okay. I think we're just going to continue, but I wanted to just say, for Jay and your team, I think we and the public, especially Eric, appreciate all the Measure Y, the extra work you have to do to, it's almost like an extra budget, right, item, instead of just putting it all in general services. And for you to create that, to, I don't know who got the logo, but we see the logo now on the engines wherever Measure Y is used. And so to do that, to identify it, to make it easy for the public, and then to train all the staff to go, hey, this is what you need to do. We need these numbers for them to report on it to us. It's made it very easy for the council, and I think it helps the public when they're asking and wanting inquiries regarding Measure Y. So very good job on that. So, and I think we're just looking for a motion to continue to June 1st.
So moved.
Okay, a motion. Second. Okay, all those in favor to continue to June 1st, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much, staff. Next, we'll move to city manager comments. Andy.
If you aren't tired of me yet, thank you, Mayor. Next meeting for the General Plan Advisory Committee is tomorrow night. It's over at our Clovis Transit Center. We also have the Memorial Run this coming Saturday. So sign up for that, get out. We have a planning commissioning meeting on Thursday, May 28th. This is where we'll be talking about the infill rezone program, so a high interest on that. Then right now, we're taking applications for our next round of Clovis Youth Commissioners. So looking forward to the next group. They were so awesome this last week. And with that, I'll turn it back to you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Council comments, Councilmember Basco.
The only thing to bring up is yesterday was California Health Science University's medical school graduation. So that was good, the third year for that class to graduate. We had 171 students between medical school and the master's program that graduated. I think 130 of those were medical students. So, yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Bessinger.
Two things. On Sunday, I went to the Clovis Flat Track Museum at 309 West Rialto that frankly I had passed for a number of years, didn't know it was there. It's a collection of motorcycles and different motorcycle related stuff, memorabilia, and it's pretty impressive. And I'm gonna get together with Chad and ask him to do some social media on it. It was, I walked into this nondescript building that just kept going. And it was very impressive. Nice people, a lot of people showed up. So that was an interesting visit. And I also was at the matriculation of the Veterans Education Program at Fresno State. It's a program, Fresno State was the first university in the California system to take this on. A double Purple Heart veteran walked up to President Castro a few years ago and asked him, why aren't we doing more for our veterans? And what this program lets you do is it kind of lets you skip the line to get in at Fresno State. You go into a core class system where you get into communication, college, how to deal with the new college systems, and permits these guys and gals who are all veterans, some who are currently on active duty, most of them have gotten out, to put themselves in a position where they get through it and they are now part of Fresno State, and they're very proud. And a lot of them come from some PTSD backgrounds, and they've had some difficulty, and this really permits them to get their foot in the door. And I go to this every year, and they take donations, by the way. And I will talk to Chad about getting that up on our system too. That's all I have.
Thank you, Drew. Lynn?
Just one thing, I just want to take a moment, I should have done this at the beginning, just to remember Supervisor Phil Larson, who passed away in the last few weeks, and really the generation of Harry and others that was just a strong steward of all that he did and really made a big difference in Fresno County. So just a moment to recognize Phil and his work as a Fresno County supervisor. They don't make him like that anymore either. Thanks.
Mayor Pro Tem Pierce.
I have nothing.
And then I just want to report that I spoke with the Chancellor of Cal State, with President Saul, and the Chancellor her mission now is to change why people go to universities. Instead of just targeting high schoolers, why not target those who are in the middle of career change? And it made me think a lot about public safety and go how they need to look at shaping programs that enhance the careers of those who have a benefit from the cities, and a lot of them do. And so it just started this conversation where fit in with what they're wanting to do, and then how Fresno State can play in that role and assist and look at majors that will really, or enhancements in education that will really enhance sort of public safety and fire, all that, when they have those benefits. So it was something that I think that, Dr. Saul was going to explore and start to look at with his academic senate and see if there's something there. And then I want to thank Councilman Bessinger for going to the Lions Club, presenting them with a certificate. And so thank you for that. And I went to the Culinary Center, and I think we got a lot of good treats at the mayor's breakfast, but they're just cooking out just neat things. And if you have pets, there's people who are there creating treats for pets. Yeah, like dog food, and it's just amazing with the sort of the mindset of an entrepreneur and what they're doing. So great job to Sean and to all of you who are helping with the Culinary Center. And that's all I have. So we will now move into closed session. There's one item, conference with real property negotiators, property on 260 to 272 North Minnewawa Avenue, lots 31 and 32. And so anyone want to comment on that before we move to closed session? Okay, seeing none. Scott, were you anticipating anything to report on?
We're not requesting action on this item tonight, so there won't be any action to
Okay,
report.
all right. We will now adjourn at 8:44 to closed session. Thank you, everyone.